Hi, Carol.
Hey, I'll be right there.
Okay.
I thought I better send the link to Philip again because how's your day?
Well, I went to Westchester to get a vaccine, and it turns out it was tomorrow.
Oh no.
And so I went through all that. So it's okay.
Oh boy.
It's a bit of a. It was stressful to drive in the snow, but I'm okay. I'm um I'm thinking about the things I'm supposed to do to post documents for students. Should I? What am I supposed to be thinking about?
To do what? Purse them?
Well, no, post them.
Oh, post them.
Yeah,
Well,
I've posted the assignments, but now I'm thinking resources. Should I wait till they ask me? We're waiting on the book. I need to be brainstorming with you about this.
it doesn't hurt to be duplicative. So I would say send them to me. I'll put them in the PowerPoint and I will send the updated PowerPoint because I added at Philip's suggestion, I added the Rousseau book as
Yeah.
a resource because
Oh, okay.
yeah. As a matter
Mm.
of fact, I even reached out to the Dr. Rousseau's daughter
Oh,
to see if she might be available sometime in the semester. And she's all
interesting.
excited. She said, "Oh, of course." Now, I want her to talk about her parents' stuff. She wants to talk about her stuff, but we'll see.
That's very interesting because the last time I heard about her, she was not happy about Lincoln and was a little bit recalcitrant about republishing the book and so forth. That was a couple of years ago, but maybe she's warmed
I,
up.
I don't know because I asked her specifically if she had her parents' papers and archives.
Hmm.
She didn't respond to that, just excited that I had invited her
Oh,
talk with students about her work. So I wrote back again and said, of course, we'd love to have you. By the way, do you have your parents' archives? So we'll see. I don't
and
know.
Philip, last time we used Philip's archives, he charged a $250 fee. That's what they're sort of saying. Do you know about that?
No.
Because he may bring that up, and that was in connection with this other project that we did. So I don't know if I don't know if we'll want to use his archives, and if we do, there's the faculty, the undergraduate research office, Michael Lynch is very supportive of undergraduate research initiatives, and I could approach him if that's something that Philip asked for. I could approach him see if he has any money for that sort of thing.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, last time I talked to him, I said, would you be interested in partnering on any of these ventures? And he was all terribly enthusiastic. So I
Okay.
can, I can
Great.
call him about that. Should we broach that subject with Philip?
Oh yeah, not today though.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
really want him to get before the students.
All right.
So we'll keep
Now
we'll keep house
how did,
on the
I'm sorry,
side. Yeah, sorry.
how did you make out with digitizing the article, Philip's article?
Oh, I did that and sent it to the students about a week ago.
Where have I
I'm
been?
now digitalizing the book. I'm almost done.
I know about that. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I did the art. You didn't see the article. I sent it to them right after class practically.
Do you know, to be honest with you, it's all I can do to keep it up with my students. I can't wait for the break because I have to, catch up with them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
too much stuff to put up new material on Canvas for all these other courses. It has nothing. I'm terribly excited about what we're doing, but I think I am clearly behind on my
Well,
emails. I
well,
can't keep up on them.
yeah. Well, if believe me, I will get it done.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's great, Carol. I just appreciate you're like an engine. It's unbelievable.
If you got to do it, you just get it done, get it over with, move on. You know.
And are you really aiming? Do you think your publication will be prepared by, what was the date you had in
Well,
mind?
for them to be done writing by May,
By
the end
May.
of the term.
Okay,
I don't think we'll be done, but at least they'll be done
right.
with their contributions.
Uh,
Of course, if I don't know, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Yeah,
I don't really say. I just, as long as they adhere to their deadlines,
yeah,
so that's good.
right.
Yeah, I loved your memo about the press.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I sure
Well,
am hoping something comes of that. You think it will?
I don't know. I have no idea what's gonna come of it. I'll tell you, I don't know. I know that Dean Joseph everybody wants something to happen, but for it to really be a serious venture, you have to have a lot of backing for it. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's intensive and you have to have staff and everything. So I don't know what'll come, but I do. Now, that document that you sent me was amazing. Where did you get that?
Which
With all
one?
those, the
Oh, from that World Catalog. They call it World Cat.
World Cat, World
Yeah.
Cat. Okay.
And there's with Lincoln University, there was over 1,500 articles. So I only asked for the ones that said Lincoln University publication. And so there's more than that.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a whole lot that comes out of Lincoln University, but it's not
It's
formally
not,
the
yeah,
press.
yeah.
So I think what I might do is attach that or reference it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But there may be other.
Attach it, who knows? But I was, based on what Philip was telling about Rousseau, he said, Carol, do you have the book? I said,
Yeah.
yes, I do have it. I got it when it first came out.
Yeah.
Well, now you know how much the hard copy cost?
Oh, I can imagine. Hundreds.
$595.
Ridiculous.
There's
Absolutely.
something for Lincoln University Press. I mean, it could make money.
I
That's
don't
the
know.
point. Monetize it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, publicize it too. I mean, I think that who's this?
Mr. Brooks.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
This is a descendant of Cab Calloway, I believe.
Oh my.
That's correct.
So we're delighted to have you. You've gotten on before Philip. I don't know where he is. And on the already on is Dr. Merrill Button, who's professor of English at Lincoln University.
Hi.
Very pleased to
Nice
meet
to
We're
meet
you.
you.
delighted to have
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Are you you're a musician probably, are you?
Yeah, of sorts. I do more traditional stuff than jazz, but yeah, of sorts, not professionally, not yet.
Okay.
But yeah,
So you're a
Yeah.
grandson
that's
or
correct. That's correct.
wonderful.
Now, my older brother is a musician.
Is a
and
musician.
He actually has the orchestra. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So
Fantastic.
We'd
Are
love
you by
to.
any chance related to Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham?
no, but I have met her, and I know we sort of resemble, but
Okay.
yeah, she's quite a person, man.
Yes. I knew her. I worked at University of Pennsylvania for a bit. And actually, I was a student of Judge Higginbotham, and that's how I met Evelyn.
Oh, how interesting.
Mhm.
Are
See.
we able to look forward to Mr. Brooks's joining us in the class in some capacity?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
There's Dr.
Hello.
Merrill.
Hey, Dr. Merrill.
Hello, everyone.
Good to see you.
Hi,
Good to
Mr.
see
Brooks
you.
got on before you did, or is it Dr. Brooks?
Mr. Brooks.
It is Mr.
Yeah.
Brooks. Okay. He got on before
Carol,
you, Philip.
That's good because I call him Uncle Festus. Doesn't he look like Uncle Festus from the Addams Family?
No, he does not.
Yeah, where are you getting, Veronica?
Hey, Veronica. How you doing?
Carol.
Good
Well,
to see you.
how are you?
I'm
Good
good.
to
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
And also Deborah Johnson has joined us. She is our Director of Alumni Relations.
hello, Deborah Johnson.
Hello, Deborah.
Hello, Deborah.
Good evening, everyone.
It's nice to meet you.
We're going to get a
Yes,
chance to see you,
indeed.
Deborah.
Do that now. Hold on. Trying to work it out.
Hey,
Okay.
Carol.
Yes,
If we couldn't see her, I was going to do this and hide myself too.
right.
Okay. Okay. Because I do so many of these different Zoom things that sometimes I try to bring my alter ego
Right.
and have them
Yeah.
involved in the presentations as well.
Is that a fan or something?
No, it's
It's that
actually
actual
called-
mask.
It's called Build Ahead. You
Build
take a
Ahead,
picture
okay.
and you send it to a company and they put it on and
A
you can
stick.
use a stick. You can use it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, pretty
Build
clever,
Ahead.
huh?
Yes, great.
I need one of those.
Okay. Hey, Deborah, later on, we'll hook up and give you the information, okay?
Got it. Absolutely.
Well, I think hook my head up to a slimmer body. I think, can they do that?
Well, probably. What do you want to look like?
Oh, I don't, just less weight.
Okay. How about a young Ruby Dee from back in the day when she came to Lincoln?
Oh, wow. Beautiful. No,
Okay.
I couldn't be that, but,
Okay.
oh,
How about an overweight Oprah?
Oprah, yeah. Oh, God. Whew. Now,
Well,
what's that behind you? What is that?
where?
The dolls. It looks like, on the mantle.
Oh,
Oh, Surf Red.
you got Red Fox from Sanford and Son.
Oh, okay.
You have a black woman from the 70s with a big fro, and then you have Dynamite from Good Times, JJ.
Oh, okay. Oh, I couldn't see the fro. Now I see the fro. Okay.
They were all made by a black doll company named Shandana Operation Bootstraps that made toys that were ethnically correct for people of color.
Wonderful. She's still around?
No, I'm not sure if they're
I
still
don't think
around.
so, no.
Here's one of my favorites, and for people that are old like you, Carol, like Marilyn and Peter,
me.
everybody except Veronica should know about
I'm an
this.
old soul.
Okay.
This is Flip Wilson, and this
Okay.
is Geraldine, an early cross dresser, and the devil made me do it.
Right, right.
So there would be
Okay.
no Tyler Perry
No
without.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Gotcha.
We were late because there's just so much to try to truncate it in a way that will be engaging and we can have a good time learning and exchanging information that we got overwhelmed. There's
Nope,
just so much.
I can
Yeah.
understand how you narrow it down. I have no
Right.
idea.
Yeah, neither do we. So
I can appreciate that.
at the end, we'll leave and have Moscato, glasses of Moscato in honor of Lincoln.
Oh, fantastic.
Peter, you're awfully quiet. Where's that wonderful personality of yours?
I'm trying to get caught up and prepared for my thing. I have to catch up to you.
Oh,
Make
well,
sure I got my
that's
right
not
section.
possible. Come on now. Come on.
But you can't blame a guy for trying.
No, you
Right.
can't. You can't. You can't.
So Peter, where are you in Maryland or where are you physically?
Havre de Grace, Maryland.
Oh, Havre de Grace. Okay.
So
Not too
I'm not far from you at all.
Yeah, that's great. Our daughter-in-law lives well, when she did live in Baltimore, that was our midway dinner point, Havre de Grace. And there was sort of a Cajun restaurant, I believe, there.
Yep. I'm
Very
about 2
good.
blocks from that. Yeah.
Very good.
I'm about 2 blocks from that restaurant.
Okay. Okay.
So you know just where I am.
Huh?
So you know just where I am.
Yeah. Nice street. It was dark. We went down for dinner, but
Mhm.
I liked the neighborhood. I
Mhm.
really liked it. Mhm.
Plenty of parking.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. No, we had to park up the street from the restaurant, if I remember. There wasn't a lot of park. Maybe it was I don't know, summertime maybe. So
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
account for it. Mhm.
It can get crowded, yes.
Mhm. Havre de Grace. Love it.
So now this is a class.
Yes. This is
And what's the
a first
class
ever
title?
class offered special topics. It's an English class and primarily designed by the mastermind, Dr. Button, to engage students in researching and writing about Lincoln University alumni, particularly the history-making type of alumni.
Okay.
So the
Peter,
goal is to produce a publication,
Sorry.
and the students have just been assigned their alum that they're going to write about, and we're hoping to have something ready to go by the end of the semester.
Wow. Good.
And I'd
good.
like to add that although we have been targeted as the aged here, I'd like to say that Dr. Merrill is the grandfather of this kind of project, having been a fabulous mentor and a consultant to us when we did a study of the alumni from Old West Baltimore. So we're greatly indebted to his leadership in that area.
Thank you, Dr. Button. But more importantly, Peter, it really goes back to Dr. Button because she's the one that believed in this, wrote grants, connected with people to pull it together. So she's being modest, humble, and she deserves the shine. And we could not do it without the fruits of her labor.
Right.
And then we wouldn't have been at Lincoln, period, if it wasn't for the fruits of Carol Black, who actually bleeds blue and orange. She doesn't have any red blood cells or white blood cells in her body. They're all blue and orange.
That's correct.
Hey, we
Um,
forgot to mention our right hand, which is Miss Veronica Carr.
yeah.
And if it weren't for her able partnership and skill as a recent grad, we'd probably all be faint with exhaustion,
Thank you.
which we were anyway, I might add.
Thank you.
And Peter, you understand the difficulty of trying to uncover and get authentic history with regard to not only your family's legacy, but a community, an institution, an organization, because of other situations that we're attempting to do, correct?
Yes, very much so. It is
So-
very difficult, and it's being removed from us as we
Every day.
speak by the minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Hey, Carol, I thought I'd tease you with this. Morgan just got some more money.
Oh, don't tell me.
No,
Don't tell me. The national treasure that we should be.
Right. Uh-oh, there's someone else coming in?
but we're really plowing through this COVID situation with skill. I'm very impressed with the way Lincoln's handled it, all things considered.
Well, I'm impressed that you're on it with all things considered, because we had to persuade you to get an updated cell phone, if you recall.
Well,
gosh.
I'm very updated. You'd be surprised. I got a new desktop.
Okay,
Oh,
well
good.
then you know what? Hallelujah.
Wow.
For the people in the back of the church, let me say that again. Hallelujah.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
Hell, amen.
Got a long way to go, though. I'm not there yet.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
Woo.
I don't like these glasses. They look weird.
Hey, Carol, are you the moderator or is Dr. Button?
We're co-moderating, I guess.
Normally when I do these, I like the other people to be muted, but in this case, I want this to be free flowing on if someone has a comment or question. So I don't want them to just hear us talking,
Okay.
you know, so if someone wants to ask a question right then and there,
Okay.
it would be good. So again, traditionally when we do these, only people talking normally is the presenter.
Right, like
But
a
this is-
webinar. Yeah.
Right. But
Right.
this is, I don't want it to be that way. I want anyone,
Interactive.
yeah, anyone that has that, you know, that's here can say, hey, can I just say this and whatever, and then we will handle it accordingly.
I also want to welcome Brother Greg Miller, an alum who is joining us. And he, at some point in the semester, as a matter of fact, on March 11th, will be doing a presentation to the class.
Wow.
He is our pharmacology guru. I don't think he's retired. He said he's retired, but I know he's doing all kinds of other things. Greg, where are you calling from?
I'm located in Leland, North Carolina, which is
Fantastic.
close to Wilmington, North Carolina.
Great.
Um,
That's great.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Nice to meet you.
Glad to
It's a
have you.
pleasure to be on. Thank you for inviting me. I
Oh, you're
totally
more than
appreciate
welcome.
it.
More than welcome. Glad to have you.
Brother Gregory, I got a question for you already, all right?
Yes, sir.
Are you well-versed in the Wilmington coup of 1898?
Yes, I am. I actually have a book about that. I've been down here for about 5 years now. This is called Wilmington Lives, probably in
I was
reverse.
reading that actually, yeah.
And so I've been
Doesn't
following
mean-
up, and I got a whole bunch of stuff on my computer about it and everything.
Okay,
I'm
so I got,
learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. I'm
Okay.
from Philadelphia, born and raised in South Philly.
okay.
And we
Okay.
retired here
Well,
5
When I
years
come
ago.
down that way, I want to look you up, okay?
Sounds good.
I used to lecture at University of Wilmington in North Carolina.
Okay.
And believe it or not, I taught them more about the riot, the coup than they knew. And I was an outsider.
Wow.
And I don't find that to be unusual. A lot of
Right,
people
right,
down here aren't very familiar because they don't teach it in the history books.
right. And
Unfortunately,
so I
Well,
even.
they're trying to hide it, aren't they?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Well, I think it's becoming more and more. There's a monument down here now to the insurrection, and so there's a whole bunch of things going on. I'm totally impressed with the
Mhm.
area, but I'm learning about things, you know, as I know. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be on board. Thank you.
Glad to have you. Our students will be joining us in a few minutes. And I appreciate Dr. Merrill giving us this time to chit chat.
No,
Yeah,
but I wanted to show Dr. Button the best artifact ever. Can she see it on the screen?
Oh no, your phone's kind of here.
like a
Oh,
grandchild. Oh,
No, that's not a
yeah.
grandchild. That's our daughter.
your daughter.
Yes,
Okay.
Isabella.
Oh, our daughter.
Isabella.
Okay.
Isabella, wonderful.
She's almost 4 months old.
Oh,
4
congratulations.
years feels like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is she joining us today?
No, she's with Grandma Betty Lou in another room.
Okay.
I have a question for
making
Gregory
noises.
Miller.
Hey, Peter, how's it going?
Hi, good, Mr. Professor Miller, Dr. Miller. I wanted to ask, is there anything that you wish you knew about moving to North Carolina now, 5 years later, looking back?
You know, it's interesting. I mean, I find this an interesting move because I had no intentions of being here. When we were looking for places to retire, we looked in Florida and Phoenix and Atlanta. A friend of ours suggested North Carolina, and we came down for a visit and ended up here. So I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about my adoptive home. So, and there are a lot of folks from the North that are moving down here.
Yeah.
A lot of people are stopping here instead of going all the way to Florida, they're stopping in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So as I think about Philly and you guys getting all that snow, and yesterday it was 63 degrees here, and
Okay, cut him off. Cut
Yeah,
him off.
you don't rub it in now, right?
I don't want to talk to him anymore. No more Lincoln history or North Carolina for him.
but
Bye.
I'm learning a lot.
It's great. Thank you.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Good evening.
Kathy.
Good to see everybody.
Nice to meet you.
This is Dr. Kathy Reardon calling in from Virginia. Now I got to get the right place, not Richmond,
Chesapeake.
Chesapeake, Virginia, right? She's our retired veterinarian.
Dentist.
Oh, damn, good Lord. Thank
Oh
you.
my
Kathy.
goodness, Carol.
That's terrible.
Different specialty. Oh, no.
Dentist. That's right, because she's working with one of our students who wants to be a dentist. I should have known that.
I thought she was gonna fix the horse's teeth or something,
No.
right?
Oh, Wilbur.
Oh,
that was
Mr. Ed,
great.
I love it,
I love
Mr. Ed. That's one of my favorite shows. Forgetting
Yes,
ourselves,
same
I like
here.
those old shows.
How is your mentor? How is your mentee doing, Dr. Reardon?
She's coming along.
Okay.
Yes. She's coming
Who
along.
was it? Now remind me which one it was.
It's Taylor
Taylor Shelton. Okay.
Shelton. Yes.
Okay, good. She was so excited about partnering with you.
Oh, that's
She
fantastic.
really is. Yeah,
Glad to be able to do it.
good.
Yes.
Kathy said she really didn't have time and she's not missed a class yet. So I really appreciate the effort, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you for the Zoom, being able to Zoom. You can be anywhere.
Yeah, right. That's true. But I know you take care of grandchildren during the day, right?
Yes.
So you got to carve out time for
Shelter
them.
them, just taking them here and there and picking them up and things like that
Yeah,
in between line dancing.
right. Yes, Kathy is our resident dancer. She dances all the time. And let's see, Dr. Robert Johnson has joined us from Minnesota.
Oh, my goodness.
Rob, we can't see you. Oh, are you on the phone? Hey, Rob,
I know.
Hello, how are you?
A little arch in the back.
we can't see you, Rob. You're not on Zoom.
Oh, I am. I'll
You
be there in
are?
a minute.
Oh, okay.
I'll be.
That's right. We get to see the pictures of Ghana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless you want to see somewhere else.
Yeah, right. No, we keep that.
You can see Antarctica.
Rob's a recently retired, now see if I get your, this a history professor? No,
Ethnic
African
studies.
American Studies
Yeah,
professor
African American, African studies.
at St. Cloud University.
Okay.
There he is. And Rob is my Lincoln classmate.
Oh.
Ah, real history.
Mhm.
We call it old school.
Right,
Old school.
right.
Yeah.
That looks like the background from taken from the castle in Ghana.
You got it right, Cape Coast,
Yes.
be more specific. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Rob's traveled all over the world and he takes students with him, which is amazing. And his family, of course, from time to time.
Oh, hey, Carol, could you enable a screen share?
Sure.
Thanks.
Let's see, just on Phil, you're on Philip, right?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I'm on Philip, yeah.
Okay.
I think we have our first student here, Kaya Punter, who is a returning, relatively new to Lincoln, but enthusiastically starting back this semester with this project, right, Kaya?
Yes.
Hi, Kaya.
Hello,
Hi,
Kaya.
Hello, good
Hello.
afternoon, good afternoon.
Mm.
Kaya is a political science major.
Kaya will be writing about William Fontaine and Ndami Azikiwe.
Hey, Kaya. Oh, she muted herself.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. Hello.
We have something just for you in the presentation tonight
Oh, okay.
for William Fontaine.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kaya is a fabulous researcher. She's got a real solid head on her shoulders. I'm glad she's getting some extra.
I definitely try. I definitely try.
Also joining us is Dawn McCoy. She is a member of the Alumni Association and she is chairing our program committee. I don't know if we're going to be able to see her. Dawn, are you on Zoom so we can see you?
I am on Zoom, but you
Okay.
really don't want to see me.
All right.
Hello,
All
Dawn.
right.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Actually, she's in
Hey,
Maryland.
Dawn.
Hi,
Dawn,
Dr. Button. I had you when I was there at Lincoln.
you're in Baltimore, Dawn? No,
I'm in Silver Spring.
Silver Spring. Okay.
Mhm.
Kind of waiting on our students to get in here.
Oh.
Here we have Nazira Purnell. Now, Nazira, can you hear us?
Yes.
Do you have exciting news to report?
Yes, we want you to report it.
What exciting news do I have?
You got admitted somewhere.
Oh yeah, I shared that the first day of class.
Oh, we'll share it again.
Okay. I was admitted to Yale Law School.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Oh, congrats.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Nazira.
Yes.
Nazira.
Yes.
In my presentation, there is a historic figure from Lincoln that went to Yale Law School.
Oh wow, okay. Thank you.
And it's a fabulous story. And I didn't know that you were just recently admitted to Yale Law School.
And also joining, we have Joan Gunn Broadfield, alum, daughter of Dr. Harold Gunn, who created the, I guess, the African Studies program at Lincoln. Did he create it, Joan, or help me get it right?
There was an African center that he did not create, but he was actually collecting for the museum.
Yes.
Which never actually got situated except in the library. He would have been promised Amos Hall, but that never panned out. But then it was in the museum. Susan may know more of the details about being my sister and also daughter of Harold Gunn. And much
she always
more
says me, but Joan's the alum, so get her.
Right.
Okay, we're getting good now. I think we can almost begin here. Let's see. Dr. Button, I'll let you call the begin sign, the begin signal.
Oh, all right.
See, we have, who else joined us? Pablo is on, Dr. John Paul Stevens from sunny California.
James.
Hello, Dr.
Hello.
John Paul Stevens.
James and Pauline's son.
Okay,
Hey, I'm not the son of a sea captain.
okay. Okay. And we have Ken Kelly. Hi, Ken, alum.
Hello, Ken.
Hello.
He's from Maryland. Where's that place you live?
Elkridge.
Elk Ridge, yes.
Oh, that's not too far from me. I'm in Silver Spring.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. I see
Good
Susan Pivar is on, wonderful.
Hello, Susan.
Hello.
Hello, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Dr. Merrill. Dr. Franklin was one of my best buddies. We taught a couple of courses together. We did so out in Minnesota, got him an honorary doctorate out there. And we talked about his orchids all the time. And of course, I know his son as well. But we go way back many years. He was one of my mentors, if you will, and we enjoyed teaching together. We taught a oral history course. And I can tell you lots of stories about him. And I'll be heading down to James B. Duke Boulevard. Actually, he was the James B. Duke Professor of History, but there's a John Hope Franklin Boulevard or Drive in Durham. Probably be familiar. I'll be going down there next week.
Oh, nice.
To say that, but you're right. A gentleman, a scholar, a brilliant individual. I miss him a lot. So I'm gonna be quiet. Yes, go ahead.
I was very sad that I was in town in North Carolina for a different reason, and I was invited to go to a baseball game with him and had to decline the offer. So how many times you get a chance to go to a baseball game and sit next to and you know, shoot the breeze or chew the bobo or the fat or whatever you want to call it with a preeminent scholar like that?
That's right. Well, at Duke, we were standing there with Jesse Jackson, and he said to me, he was trying to always get me to pledge alpha. He said, everybody who's anybody's an alpha. And Jesse Jackson looks at him and looks at me. He said, well, I'm a Q and I am somebody.
Right.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
Hey,
That's actually nearby.
Hey, Bill, I got
Yes, sir.
something for you. Can you see this? What does it say?
I am somebody.
Okay, this is from Push 1973. I am somebody. Okay, and again,
Yes, sir.
I didn't know you were going to say that, but I just happen to have this right next to me.
Yeah, his wife, Jesse Jackson's wife, is from Hampton, where I am. Kind of
Okay.
a small world, but let me be quiet. Sister Black's gonna tell me to shut up, so I'm quiet.
Nice to
I'm
meet
not
you,
going
Bill.
to tell you that. But Bill is a professor, retired professor. He's not really retired either. He's consulting, and he is the former chair of the history department at Hampton University.
Hey, Bill, then I really want to talk to you later because we have quite a Hampton archive.
Okay, great. I was at Columbia too. Ben Jealous is one of my former students, Eric Garcetti, and been hanging around a lot. And long time. Let's put it. Yeah, we can hopefully talk at some point. Bob Ings went through this way as well, with Freedom's First Generation.
He was my friend at Penn. Wow.
Yeah, and we're constructing a African memorial at Point Comfort, where the first enslaved Africans landed.
Yeah.
We had a board of trustee meeting today, working with the sculptor. I've been working with him for a long time, so
Outstanding.
doing a whole lot again. And also where Shepard Mallory, Frank Baker, and James Townsend made their move to Fortress Monroe. All that history is here. It's just amazing.
6 degrees of separation also.
Hey,
Right.
Bill?
Yeah, don't get me started. Okay.
Yeah, Bill?
Right. You're right.
Bill, you know
Yes.
Robert Watson?
Yeah, I was chair of the history department at the time, and I said, "Come on and join me." And he came on. I've known Robert for years, and his children as well. Yeah, all of them.
Okay, yeah, we were at Washington University together.
Okay, yeah. We were always in communication. My good boy, my good friend, my old high jumping buddy. He high jumped, and I ran the hurdles.
Mm.
Well, I think we're just about ready to start. Carol, do you agree?
I think so. I know because Philip's got a lot going there, and we definitely don't want to miss any part of it. And it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Merrill. And I'm first going to say he is a history maker. And if you just pull up History Maker on your browser, you will find him. So I really don't need to do a whole lot of introduction, but I will say this, and I'm taking this directly from History Makers. He is a historian, a writer, an appraiser, and a collector. Born in Baltimore, Maryland, grew up in the Sandtown, West Winchester neighborhood in Baltimore. He attended the Friends School in Baltimore and went on to Loyola University. And he founded the organization called Nanny Jack and Company, and I'm sure he's going to tell us a little more about that. But that is an archives and consulting agency specializing in creating projects that illuminate the African American experience through memorabilia, oral history, and research. He has over 30,000 artifacts, probably even more, probably a lot more than that in his collection. And they include photographs and rare books and folk art, documents, music, dolls, furniture, and quilts. And I will not say, oh yeah, I do have to say all of his television credits. He's well known in America and probably abroad. He has been collaborating with the Smithsonian Institution's Anacostia Museum and Center for African American History and Culture, the Discovery Channel, the Maryland Historical Society, Maryland Public Television, and the history of the and the History Channel. He became an appraiser for PBS and actually created the category of Black memorabilia on the Antiques Roadshow. So that gives you just a brief background, and now I present to you Dr. Philip Merrill.
Thank you very much, Carol. Before I really get started, I want to just throw out something tied into one of my favorite Lincoln people that I got to spend a lot of time with before he transitioned. This is a gentleman from the class of 1939. His name was William Griggs, and he was a regimental photographer that was one of the Black outfits that went to Alaska during World War II in 60 below zero temperature to create the second most important engineering feat in modern day history, which was known as the Alcan Highway. So I'd like to dedicate our presentation tonight to a Lincoln alumni that I got to interview for a whole year, once a week, in trying to put together this book that was published through University of Mississippi Press in 2002, which was the 60th anniversary of the soldiers going to Alaska and overcoming freezing temperatures, segregation, discrimination, and on other unmentionable situations to be successful. So this is to my dear late friend, Bill Griggs, class of 39 at Lincoln University.
Thank you for that. And then let me just interject just one other item. Normally, Dr. Merrill does sort of webinar presentations where, you know, he does his speech, his spiel, and then he gets questions at the end. Today, because this is a class, he's agreed that all mics can remain open and this will be interactive and you can ask your questions as we go along.
Not only you can ask your questions, you can make a comment, suggestion, or whatever. I just don't want to put you to sleep. I want this to be engaging. I want this to be free flowing. I want everyone to leave more excited than they came at 5 o'clock today. So let's get started. You want to handle your business?
I will introduce
Go
myself
ahead.
first. So, hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Veronica Shiakar. I am a Lincoln University alumna, class of 2016, so I'm a baby. And like most Lincoln alumni, I actually have a story about how I came to Lincoln. You know, both historic alumni and current day alumni can tell you what actually spurred them to come to Lincoln. And mine is a man by the name of Langston Hughes. I was so in love with Langston that I said, okay, I have to go to the place where Langston got his college education. I have to walk in his footsteps. I have to be where Langston was. And that was basically what sold me on Langston. Upon getting to Lincoln, I was in love with the campus. The buildings were just beautiful. The church, of course, and cemetery were amazing. And I just wanted to know more about this place that by the time I come along is already 160 something years old. And in my freshman year, I learned a couple of things. I learned about the founding of Lincoln, the founding year. I learned about the founder himself. I learned about the Amos brothers and about a few people, Langston being one of them, Thurgood Marshall, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Kwame Nkrumah. And unfortunately, that's where my learning or my love, the history, the heritage actually kind of stopped, because that was as far as, unfortunately, as Lincoln went then, teaching you about its heritage and history, and enough to kind of just get you by and to pass a test. But I wanted to know more. So fast forward a couple of years, and Dr. Button actually called me into her office one day and said, I have an opportunity for an internship. We have a National Endowment for the Humanities grant, and we for a paid internship for you with Nanny Jack and Company and Dr. Philip J. Merrill and his mother. So of course already my interest is piqued because they want to look at Lincoln University's global heritage and legacy. And that was something that had been so much missing in my Lincoln experience that without knowing much more, I said, yes, I have to intern with Nanny Jack and Company, Philip J. Merrill, Betty L. Merrill on this project where everyone could see the booklet, the Lincoln University's global heritage and legacy. So from that, I began to learn more about Lincoln's heritage, legacy, alumni, began to actually explore the surrounding community, not just the campus, but also the church, the cemetery, Lincoln University Village, once Hensonville, which some of you might be familiar with, some who are not, we'll discuss it in the presentation. We did a DVD, which Carol was so gracious to actually attach in the 6 different parts. There was an article written, which Carol also attached, that hopefully many of you had a chance to read. We had a study guide come out for that. And based on the success of that, then the university received Title III funding for an initiative called Treasure to Treasure from Old West Baltimore to Lincoln University. Because Old West Baltimore, the nation's largest historic registered African-American historic district, is a treasure within itself. You have the who's who that come out of Old West Baltimore: politicians, pastors, educators, community leaders. The who's who you can think of in Black America have some connection in some way, shape, or form to Old West Baltimore. And so they're a treasure. Lincoln is also a treasure. And what you see from the 1870s to up until probably the 1950s is this flux of men who come out of Old West Baltimore, who matriculate at Lincoln, and in some cases go back to Old West Baltimore to help to build it up to become the great community that it was. So working on that, myself and 4 other students studied 15 alumni. We wrote bio sketches of them. And then we took our research to the ASALA conference, the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History in Richmond, Virginia, and presented on that. So fast forward a couple of years, actually, I graduated in May 2016. And August 2016 became a full-fledged, full-time staff member of Nanny Jack and Company, where I currently serve as the digital media strategist and staff writer. And we are currently working on a book, and I'll give you a few details about that, about an 1875 voter suppression case involving 10 Lincoln University students, the nearby town of Oxford, Pennsylvania, and the 15th Amendment. So I'm going to leave it at that and actually push it back to Philip now.
Okay, I wanted Veronica to say all that because I hope it inspires the current students to understand that anything is possible. When we first encountered Veronica, I was like, okay, how is this going to work?
Well, thanks. Makes me vote of confidence.
No, because we're like, how are we going to involve the library, track down any elders that are living in the village? How are we going to, as an outside entity, be embraced with our effort? And she showed up for all of the meetings. She was enthusiastic. It was really like a sponge situation. She was just trying to absorb any and everything. She had no problem when we knocked on some doors in the village to talk to some people that have been connected to Lincoln for generations. So she was getting a firsthand, intimate look at oral history, primary source material, and also the difficulty of trying to maneuver through the special collections at the university's library. And fortunately, we have our own collection of Lincolniana, as Dr. Bond used to call it back in the day, that was able to augment and fill in many gaps that we could not come up with from the traditional realm of researching. And so with that said, I want to start officially, and I want to show everybody this. And can anybody wonder or tell me why in the world am I starting this with an onion in my hand? Anybody can speak up?
It has many layers.
Okay, that's great, Dr. Button. Okay, so no, that's it, Dr. Button, that's it. And I'm not going to peel it, but the idea is when you really look at Lincoln University, it's one layer after another layer after another layer after another layer. And there's so many cross currents, intersections, connections that it just almost makes your head hurt. And what we've been able to do is to just try to connect the dots, figure out the connections that help us do a better job of interpretation, better job of research, and a better job of highlighting often some underreported, under-recognized contributions from Lincoln University. Joan, you're muted, by the way, and I hope that you will unmute yourself. Okay, we can go.
But I might talk, and that would be a problem.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. Then mute yourself if you want. Then, or whatever pleases you. Okay.
But I will definitely. I was part of a freshman. No, I was part of a history class that worked with Paul Russo to look at Black land ownership in the Lincoln University area and a book finally came out about it, which is yes. So I'm so excited to hear about your work. So excited.
Okay. Thank you.
I tend to bubble, so yeah,
we'll take it though. That's the students need to see other people that have the addiction, that they have the drive, the passion, the knowledge to want to keep Lincoln as a leading institution and celebrate the glorious, resplendent heritage of the folks that came before us. Quickly, I want to talk about a concept that I use, not just with Lincoln, but this is really the basis of what we do at Nanny Jack and Company LLC across the country. We work with different organizations and universities, but this template or formula can be applied almost to any situation. The first thing is self-exploration and discovery. And hopefully you have the article so you can refer back to it. The second one is engagement through oral interviews. Now, this one is really difficult because so many people of African descent, and I'm not talking about other ethnicities right now, I'm just talking about people of African descent, do not want to sign an authorization release form. They do not want to talk. They don't think they have anything to share. And I have to spend a great deal of time trying to convince them that their journey is worthwhile and was worthwhile, and that they do have something to share. I'm normally not interested in he said, she said, or gossip. So I let them know that up front. We're after very, in some cases, they think monotonous information like, when did you vote? Who did you vote for? Did you own your property or was it a rental? Did you have a ground rent? Can you talk about Brown v. Board? How did it impact your family? Have you done any genealogy? Do you know who was freeborn or who was a freedom seeker, otherwise known as a runaway enslaved person? All these type of things that I'm trying to get these folks to share is a real struggle. And at the end of the day, I try to tell them an African proverb that goes like this: when an elder dies, a library is burned to the ground. So I'm constantly, as is Veronica, trying to network with descendants. And the descendants offer a connection that you cannot get from the census research, from a directory, from a yearbook, from a newspaper article. They often are giving you something that is, in my mind, priceless. So the engagement through oral interviews is really paramount to making my 5 steps for a successful artifactual journey work. And sometimes the door is slammed in our faces. I even use people of different colors. I use whatever kind of connections I have to get someone to say, I'm going to go on record and give up the interview. We also have a podcast. Tell them what the podcast is called.
Artifactual Journey.
And in the podcast, we have a global following. So we're blessed to have
what people in UK, France, China,
India, people around the globe are following us. And Carol Black was able to pick up some work that we did on the what I call a retro Black Lives Matter case with the students in New York in 1929 through the podcast. So we're trying to get elders to understand the contributions that they have witnessed, their relatives have told them about, or something they have in their homes really can move all of us to the next level. Dawn, you had a question?
Yes. Would you repeat the name of the podcast, please?
It's Artifactual Journey.
I lost my thought now.
I'm sorry.
No, 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 but I want you, I want you to talk, please.
You were
I need you
talking
to talk.
so fast. I wanted to get it in.
No, okay, good. Okay. You know why I talk so fast? Because it comes from going on the radio a lot. I was on with Tavis Smiley one day back in the day, and I realized if I didn't talk fast, I wouldn't get to say anything because Tavis was talking over me. Also, Kathy Hughes of Radio or TV One, I used to go on one of her regular shows. So you learn to get out a lot of
Get it
information
in.
quickly. You got to hit it and quit it, so to speak. Okay.
Well, thank you.
So forgive me.
Real quick, about the John is my sister, by the way, for those of you that don't know.
He said that in the beginning. We were excited about that.
Oh, okay. In the archives, and I'm really heartbroken that I don't know if there's an archivist anymore. Maybe there is. I hope there is. But the tapes that the students made are still there, or they were there when I was there. So I assume they're still there. And they were all, in a format that you have to have the player for them. They're cassette tapes, but they are there. Someday, maybe somebody will digitize them and they'd be more available. But
Susan. And thank you for that, Susan. And also, with the advent of technology, it's really pretty easy to put them into a different format.
Yes.
Where then they can be really accessible and utilized. And in addition to that, some of the students that were there back in that time period are my friends on Facebook, like Reginald Pitts. And he's willing to talk on the podcast about his experiences and what he did with the Russos and so forth. But I haven't had a chance to circle back to him to get him onto the podcast to talk about those glorious days of the field study. And so thank you for that. And I hope this
and what I'm saying is the tapes, I believe it's the interviews themselves on tape. Right.
Yeah. And so
understand that. Yeah.
That kind of primary source material again is priceless. And I'm not trying to, and I hope the university, anyone here does not get defensive or get all worked up or whatever, but the impetus needs to be put on how to better mine the gold in the special collections at Lincoln University. Okay?
Agreed.
That is critical. So I'm just trying to support what you're saying. Go ahead. You want to talk about storytelling, please? Give me a break.
So thanks, yeah. Sure. So another important part going along with the oral interviews and the self-exploration discovery is storytelling. Being able to take the research, being able to take the oral interviews, being able to take the artifacts and weave it into not only just an interesting story, but also a story that people across different cultures, different races, different ethnicities can understand. Education levels can understand. So whether it's a kindergartner, whether it's someone in a retirement home, whether it's a high school, whether in this case the PhD program, or in this case, whether it's a college student, so being able to weave a story that people can enjoy, can understand, but also learn something. We like to call it edutainment, educational and entertaining at the same time. But you're learning something, but you don't really know you're learning something. You're actually enjoying the process of just hearing a story. So you're enjoying the process of learning about Lincoln's legacy through artifacts, through oral interviews, through just that kind of spark, that moment of, oh, aha moment of this is amazing research and I'm finding out about my own university, about people who were here before I was.
And to dovetail on, go ahead, Bill, please go.
On the oral history interviews and so on, I think it's Stutz Terkel. But again, Dr. John Hope Franklin was one of the founders of the oral history library and program at Columbia University. And when we were teaching the oral history courses together, anamnesis or memory is something that we have to keep in mind. Some people embellish things. You've got to be able to determine what is and what isn't. So you need to know what was going on because they can sell you a bill of goods to make themselves look really good. So doing interviews, oral history, it's not easy and you can't take everything for granted. I'm just putting that caveat out there because I've seen someone on a number of occasions I've spoken with, they made themselves saints. I think of Amy Jacques Garvey, Marcus Garvey's second wife, and really his only wife. I spent about 2 weeks with her. Boy, did I have to sort things out because she hated Amy Ashwood Garvey, so her first wife. I'm saying, what in the world? Okay, but that's a caveat to keep in mind, and you know it well.
Well, and thank you. That's an excellent point. And also, I'm going to take a detour for a moment. one of the things that this group needs to have is some subscription research capabilities. And I want Veronica to.
So we use, I think, 3 or 4. We use ancestry.com naturally. We use MyHeritage. We use newspapers.com and newspaperarchives.com. So
And
4.
and when we can get access to JSTOR,
Right.
which is extremely expensive as a platform. And then of course, even another expensive one is LexisNexis. So when you get some really fascinating oral history, as Bill is talking about, it's really imperative to be able to go and find something
Right, to cross-reference.
to cross-reference, but you always will not be able to find something that can cross-reference it. Sometimes you hit the gold mine, a jackpot, but other times you do not.
Right.
And that's just the nature of the beast. Want to talk about distribution and keep it moving?
Okay, so with distribution, step number 4, there are so many opportunities now to distribute content, distribute historical content. And of course, one of the things that we find in making like mini, like 5-minute videos
Or
for
less,
Facebook,
too.
or even less, 2-minute videos for Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter, for LinkedIn,
YouTube.
is the ability to reach so many different people across so many different platforms with a 2-minute Facebook video. I think one we had got up to like 6,000 views in a short amount of time, which is amazing. So you're able to reach people in, like, you know, Australia who might have never heard of Lincoln University, but they look at this 2-minute video and suddenly, their interest is sparked, wanting to know, what is this place, and I want to know more.
And because of that, we did a video on Buy at Ruston, and now I'm friends with a person that was a young man that Buy at Ruston was always in his life. He happened to be a roommate to Gil Scott Heron, and his name is Al Valentine. I know some of you know Al personally, but Al saw the video that we did. I'm sorry?
Gil Scott Heron, not Heron.
Okay, sorry, Gil Scott Heron. And Al was so excited, and then some Bide Rustin relatives tracked us down, and I was able to use some of that information from the video that we created, from the artifacts and the research, and then connected it to another funded project that the NEH and Maryland Humanities Council were behind for something in Montgomery County, because there's a Byatt Rustin Elementary School, and the people there know very little about the narrative or contextualizing of who this man was and why he is a person of interest in 2021. So that's just a small bit about distribution. And lastly, institutional advancement. Obviously, when the media wants to focus on Lincoln, they continue to take the same press release where you see the same names over and over again. I call them the usual suspects. God bless all of them. I love them, but it's high time that the Lincoln institution come up with some additional names that they can put in some type of situation where the media or press release can learn about the vast level of accomplishments that the Lincoln Lions have done historically. So that's another driving force behind what we do with regard to uncovering and lifting up the impactful legacies of worthy Lincoln folk that largely are left to obscurity. Okay.
Let me see if we have any comments up here.
Anybody have a comment? Are we good? My technical person here.
I'm just checking at the moment. Okay, no, we're good.
Okay.
I'd like to put in just a quick word to thank Susan Pivar for being the initiator of the humanities grant. I think we left that out, and that should be very known. She's a library in herself.
And thank you, Dr. Button. And if you look on the cover of the NEH grant initiative, you see where it says edited by Marilyn D. Button with Susan Pivar. So kudos again to Susan and Dr. Button. One of the problems with regard to trying to research, interpret Lincoln University's history, not just the alumni, but their overall history, is that a lot of content has not surfaced. And what I mean by that is when a rare photograph, you can't find what the person looks like in a certain time period. So maybe with Find a Grave, tell them what Find a Grave is.
Find a Grave is a database of grave sites across actually the nation, the world actually, of different cemeteries. So whether they're Black-owned cemeteries, whether they're all white cemeteries or integrated cemeteries. you can go onto this website, pop in a name, and it can tell you where the person's buried, hopefully when they lived, died, and so forth.
And one of our good white friends, and I'm saying that for you to understand this, he's logged in maybe 45,000 find a grave contribution sites, over 45,000.
And
So,
some of them are actually historically Black cemeteries as well.
and so when I'm trying to find someone in the Commonwealth, I go to my friend who I met at the center. They keep changing the names on me.
The Chester County History Center.
The Chester County History Center. And we became great friends while we were there researching. And he's like this when I'm trying to find somebody. So again, technology plays a role. But if the Find a Grave has a late picture on elderly picture of the person, then when I can't see because of I can't see because of the people screen. When you find a period image while this person is matriculating at Lincoln University, you have to then look at face recognition. You have to then talk to different people, different photo archivists to try to come up with, is this the same person? Well, in this case, this is none other than Solomon Hood Porter.
No, Porter Hood.
I'm sorry, I can't even see because you're blocking. Solomon Porter Hood. Each time the screen keeps blocking part of my text. There you go. So this is a early picture of a very young Reverend Dr. Solomon Porter Hood, taken by probably the earliest identified photographer in Oxford, who documented quite a bit of the students, the university, and the surrounding town from the 1860s up for a couple decades. So when this was acquired, I'd watched it for a long time at an auction, couldn't figure out who it was, but I said, okay, it has to be someone connected to formerly Hinsonville, the town of Oxford, Lincoln University, the village, or somewhere. And lo and behold, it is none other than Solomon Porter Hood. And Solomon Porter Hood.
I have the notes actually.
I got my notes.
Solomon Porter Hood's actually very instrumental in the early years of the Alumni Association. And let me just read a section actually.
And while she's reading the section, what is interesting is that
I got it actually.
One quick second.
Okay.
I was attempting to reach out to a descendant, but I didn't have the nerve. Sometimes I lose the moxie or gumption or nerve when I'm trying to track down these descendants, because we've been rejected so much that you get a little tired. And in this case, I did not follow through with the descendants. Go ahead.
So early in Lincoln's history, the alumni actually wanted African-American representation on the faculty. And of course, at the time, Lincoln was an all-white faculty from the president downward. So the professors were all white, the board of trustee members, anybody you could think of that was instrumental in the university was white. So I'll read this one section. The denial of the alumni's aspirations had the effect of a rallying cry for alumni. Through efforts of the Reverend Edward Webb, Lincoln's financial agent, the Alumni Association was strengthened. The method used was to get a key man. This man proved to be Solomon Porter Hood, class of 1873, who really was the first alumni secretary without portfolio or pay. His was a labor of love, and he was able to get contact alumni throughout the states of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And during the commencement of 1882, Webb and Hood selected class secretaries for each class. So he's really instrumental, even though he's not really actual class alumni secretary, in actually bringing the alumni together in these different southern states.
And I also put him into this presentation because he is one of the first pastors at a historic Black church in Oxford. And he ends up not staying there very long because the church folk could not come up with proper financial compensation. So Hood goes on to become a prime minister, so to speak, yeah, I'm not looking at my notes.
Yeah,
Is it Liberia?
I think it's Liberia.
United States ambassador to Liberia.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you, Bill.
Under Warren G. Harding.
Right, exactly.
So of all people.
Right, of all people, right, of all people. Thank you. So he lives a long, fruitful life, and he, in his own right, is really worthy of some type of recognition because of his groundbreaking work that he did with regard to a place that really helped to make him successful down the line.
Where was he from, Philip?
Go ahead, Veronica.
He was from
Lancaster County.
Lancaster County.
Yep.
Because I think I know some descendants.
Okay, you probably do, Carol, because you know everybody in the area.
Yeah.
But also quickly talk
And then
about
he's
the
also
Hood.
connected to the Hood family of Pennsylvania. James Walker Hood of the AMEZ Church. I think he's AMEZ
Yeah,
bishop at one
yeah.
point, I believe, was a relative. And also there is a lodge in Westchester named after one of the Hood relatives as well.
And some of the Hoods are buried at D. Baptiste's original. Go ahead.
Chestnut Grove.
Not the
I know the Porters, and there is a minister, Porter.
Okay.
I have a neighbor, Josephine Hood. I'm going to ask her if she's.
And we actually did a video, Joan, that we'll send you if we exchange emails, where we went in front of the Levi Hood Lodge in downtown Westchester, and then we went down to the Chestnut Grove Cemetery, and we got there again on this artifactual journey because I have a rare matchbook. We collect matchbooks because matchbooks often lead you on a journey to uncover a place, organization, or a person, and it led us to a building and then to a cemetery, and then we started doing a deep dive, and it was all fascinating. Keep going. We're aware of the time, so we won't talk as much on the various images that we have available. Uh-oh, is it frozen?
Yeah.
No.
I'm stuck.
Okay, there we go.
Here we go. Let me start from here.
Nope.
No, let me start from here.
Okay, here.
Give me 1 second.
Nope,
Yeah.
we don't want to talk about him yet.
Oh, yeah, we do.
We do.
actually.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
You can
'cause he's
talk.
right
I don't
here.
want to talk. You talk.
Okay, so I know someone actually had Reverend Francis J. Grimke and his brother Archibald. I don't know who that was though. Huh?
Grimke?
Grimke, yep, Reverend Francis James Grimke.
So
He's born enslaved in Charleston, South Carolina, about 1850 to his enslaver Henry Grimke and Nancy Weston, I believe.
I'm not looking at my notes, but so go ahead. Keep going.
Comes out of Lincoln University in the class of 1870 along with his brother Archibald. And while he's at Lincoln University, he writes a piece that's published. And through that published piece, his aunts, who on his father's side of the family, were actually able to track down their mulatto relatives or mulatto nephews. And mulatto being a outdated kind of term to mean mixed race. And when he actually died in 1937, Lincoln referred to him as the oldest, ablest, most loyal son of Lincoln. And he actually really was. He was very instrumental in laying the foundation, helping to, in the Alumni Association, was very loyal to Lincoln, but also was one of the alumni that was very disappointed in Lincoln's refusal to hire African-American faculty. So much so that I believe it took him a number of years before he actually set foot on Lincoln's campus again.
And were you talking about
Oh, yes. And a little known fact, actually, most people might know that Lincoln actually had a short-lived law school. It was about 4 years, and it actually was based in Westchester. They moved it from Lincoln's campus to nearby Westchester, Pennsylvania. And Francis Grimke was actually one of the only and earliest students, African-American students, to read law in Westchester. We've actually tracked down the building, and back in 2018, Philip was a keynote presenter for a Pennsylvania downtown convention. And we took the participants on a tour afterwards, and one of them was the location of the law school where Grimke actually read law.
Also, to give Lincoln another a hand clap at that presentation, what I did was I reinterpreted the white built environment to make it black in downtown Westchester in the business improvement district. And the people on the tour could not believe the level of research that we did to show that these buildings that up until my talk and lecture were only viewed upon as being connected to white American history, I was able to flip the script and make it tied into people of African descent. And more importantly, quite a bit of the information we were sharing had Lincoln University connections, which you know I was so excited about, of course. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that part in and then want to hit that.
Oh, then Grimke and his brother and a number of very prominent African Americans, both in DC and nationally, were on the board of a group called the Colored Social Settlement. It's kind of a modern day kind of version of, I'm trying to think really, I guess the Black Lives Matter movement, where they actually advocated for against the social ills of African Americans. So they advocated for better housing, better healthcare, better education, trying to teach African Americans both domestic trades, but also get them into universities and also be able to kind of uplift them.
And if you look at the topic for discussion was needs encountered among neglected city Negroes. That could be relevant in 2021. Okay. And want to talk about this image for a minute, the older file, please.
Oh, okay. So you might notice that throughout the presentation, some of the images are colorized. And of course, that's not how they would have looked the period in our original archives. We've actually used a company called De-Oldify. They take your image, black and white, sepia toned, whatever it may be, and they're able to actually use some sort of model and colorize it. Their data set, and they're actually able to colorize it. So their services are available through MyHeritage, one of the many subscription services we use.
So it's an app.
So it's an app. It's an app basically. So you upload your image, and within seconds, it gives you a beautiful colorized image. So you'll see some of them throughout the presentation.
And we do that because some of the images are bland or boring to certain people, and this way they kind of pop, and you visually the aesthetic is awesome, and people get excited, and it may trigger some more interest and so forth.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was he? What I'm assuming he was related to the Grimke sisters, who were the white family in South Carolina, and one of them became.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were on.
Very interesting. I would love to learn more about him.
Oh, I recommend the book to anybody who's, if somebody's doing a report on the Grimke's. I don't know if Lincoln has this book, but it's a very good book.
It's a great book.
Resource,
it's a great resource.
Let me I gotta find the receipt.
While Veronica
Susan,
is
could
looking,
you put that in the chat, that the title and everything in the chat?
while Veronica is looking for something,
here we go.
Here it is. She found it. I want you to feast your eyes on this. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Yes. Really, the name where it says "bought of."
Can anyone imagine why we're sharing this right now? Anybody?
Any guesses?
Any guesses? Bill?
Yeah, well,
Is it a slave sale?
I'm looking at the deed and land as well, and the permits. Trying to figure that out because it shows ownership. I mean, the whole Grimke family goes back so far. I see lands, agricultural.
Nope, that's not it. But
Is that the purchase of people or
flowers?
Nope.
Vases,
Okay.
vases.
Everybody missed the lesson. I thought we were educating you guys. Go ahead, Veronica. Tell them.
Okay. E.M. Grimke was Edward Montague Grimke. He was Archibald and Francis's half-white. He was their half-brother. He was actually Henry Grimke's son from his first marriage. When Henry Grimke died, he, in essence, sadly enough, willed his enslaved sons to their half-brother, who treated them horrifically.
E.M. Grimke was not a kind person to the Grimkes that people from Lincoln revere. So I just wanted to share that. It wasn't really in the presentation, but it's a part of the overall story for you to understand about the journey of the Grimkes.
So they weren't like Sarah and
right, exactly. And
no
way, shape, or form.
That's why they left. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Can you back up for a minute for this? I need to see William Bishop.
Oh no, he's farther along. Yeah.
But I want to mention how I got to Lincoln.
Let me go to him real quick.
I'm changing the program on the fly. I hope no one minds, but no one knows the difference anyway. In the late 1990s, I make a rare acquisition that I didn't know how much it was going to change our archives and my life. I was able to acquire years of content from one family that goes back pre-Civil War, tied into Philadelphia, Annapolis, Baltimore, New York, and is rather prestigious. And the family's name, the surname is Bishop, B-I-S-H-O-P. I reached out to Emory Wimbush in 1997. So before 1997, Lincoln University wasn't on my radar. I knew nothing about it and could care less about Lincoln University. But upon acquiring the content from this man right there, that distinguished looking gentleman there, who does graduate from Lincoln and goes on to Yale Law School, I realized that this was a treasure trove of multiple generation and all kinds of institutional memory. So I would be remiss if I didn't go back to say, without this man's family's collection, we wouldn't have the extensive Lincoln archives that we do, because in this man's house, it was just generations of content going back before the Civil War. And recently, a gold cane given to Frederick Douglass that sold in February of last year for $33,000 or $37,000 came from this family. I tracked down the descendants. We tried to get the white antique dealers to let the descendant buy everything from the house. They would not. There was a Marcus Garvey connection. There's so many connections that it makes your head hurt. So this is where the Lincoln University Alumni Association content comes from that sets our brain, the wheels in motion. So I wanted to quickly put that in. Now we can go back.
Okay, so where we going?
We were back to,
Back to Moselle.
yeah, back
Gotcha.
to,
Yeah, Dr. Moselle.
Yeah, while you're doing that, the connection again with Grimke, along with Archibald, remember the NAACP and the Niagara movement, all of that is just so tied in greatly. Just
yeah,
unbelievable.
it is. And not only that, Bill, I just got off the phone a couple of weeks ago with a descendant of another Lincoln graduate by the name of, I'm sorry? Hello?
Jackson Lee was also quoted in that article. Luke, I wonder if you.
I can't understand what the person is saying.
I don't think that's pertaining to us. I think that's
Okay.
background.
Okay, sorry.
I have a question.
Wait a minute. I think I was talking to Bill. Bill, hold on, Dwight. I'll get to you. Garnett R. Waller, Waller, Lincoln graduate, Niagara movement leader, related to the Cab Calloway family, the Credit family. So when you talk about the Niagara movement, there's all kinds of connections tied into folks connected to Lincoln University that really need to come out. And I did not know that I was on a Zoom tied into promoting my book that's called Old West Baltimore. And the descendant said, you know, my husband is the grandson of Garnet R. Waller from Lincoln and the Niagara movement. I'm like, no, I didn't know. But so now we've made headway talking to the family historian. So again, that oral history, that distribution, and being active in some very social platforms lead you to resources that you otherwise would not have. Dwight, go ahead. You had a question or comment?
Yes, the previous slide you had on Baker Fontaine.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet, though.
Oh, you will talk about that.
Yeah, we will. I just want to.
I want to know the letter, and I also want to know the address in Newark, New Jersey, that letter comes from.
Okay, we'll give all that up. I was just trying to honor William Norman Bishop.
Got you.
Okay, go ahead. Okay,
That's the black staffers. A lot of these attacks are directed toward our people. We've seen these things happen over and over and over again. Reminded that people who are domestic terrorists would say, oh, it's the Capitol, we'll stop there.
I don't know whether that's a hacker or somebody here.
They got to
mute themselves, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, well, because that's not us.
I think it's someone in the same room with someone. So
Okay.
I think you mute hello. I think it'll be a.
Hello?
It's extremely traumatic.
Is this his television?
Yeah.
Is it his television?
They should mute themselves unless they have something to say, and then.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's okay.
What you're looking at right now is something from the Frederick Douglass Memorial Hospital and Training School. And at the time when this was acquired, Carol Black.
Yes.
This is tied into the same dealer that sold your relative's collection that we have, the Imes family.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Go ahead. Tell them the name. Go ahead.
So Nathan Francis Moselle was actually the founder of the Frederick Douglass Memorial Hospital and Training School. He also, let me, if I get this correctly, helped to publish the nation's first alumni magazine, being Lincoln's alumni magazine.
That's right.
And what is really interesting is, and I don't know how to say this, I'm just going to say it. One of the things that I hope this little brief presentation does is it inspires the young folk, the middle-aged folk, and the retired folk to understand that our content is everywhere. So in other words, Lincolniana is everywhere, just like Black history is everywhere, it's American history. And we need to be better stewards of trying to find it and put it in the right places. So often it is a difficult job to uncover, to financially acquire. We get donations, but at the end of the day, it's a 24/7 job that I do trying to find content, okay? All of it is not in a particular museum. It's not in a historical society. it's often in the trash can. Even though I do PBS and get my nails done and wear suits and makeup and blah blah blah, I'm never too proud to go dumpster diving and dig in the trash can to salvage and save our heritage. Okay, so I did that with the family that we're going to talk about in a moment that has the 1929 letter that Dwight is interested in. If I had not saved the content from the trash, we would not have been able to do the podcast, and we would not have known about that 1929 case and Lottie Dottie and everybody.
Like, I gotta say, I actually love this image. I loved it in its original format.
Wow.
And I loved it when I put the colorization on it. It's the 1911 Lincoln University basketball team.
Now, I have struck out for over 20 years trying to identify the people in the photograph. I've talked to the Black Fives, Claude Johnson, colleague of mine who runs a nonprofit. I've talked to various sports people. I've looked in various rare books. No one can tell me very much about the players in this 1911 photograph that was done outside on Lincoln's campus.
Beautiful.
Even when you go, I'm sorry?
That you say it's a beautiful photo.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you. This is coming from the Bishop collection. That one guy's house was a treasure trove of rare Lincoln content. And at the time, I had no idea, again, that one day I'd be talking to Carol Black through Facebook, and then that leads us to Dr. Button and blah, blah, and NEH and Title III and now this. But again, you got to put your antennas up because we need to reclaim our historical content. Here is a photograph that caused us a great deal of frustration. Okay. On the left-hand side, it says freshman squad, Lincoln University, 1914. But yet the football that the gentleman in the center is holding says 18.
It's because they were freshmen in 1914, coming out of the class of 1918.
And what this photograph allows us to do is to learn, because we know what collection it came out of. It came out of a collection from Georgia. And why am I saying that? Because Haynes Normal Institute served as a feeder school to Lincoln University. There's so many geographic locations in America that had pipelines to Lincoln that we don't talk about, largely because no one has uncovered it and then properly distributed the information. So because we acquired a major locket collection, Robert and Richard Lockett from the Haynes Normal Institute in Georgia, we were able to look at the plethora of other Lincoln folk that came out of Georgia and were with them either before, during, or after at the Haynes Normal Institute. So we talk about Downeytown Industrial Agricultural Institute being a feeder school. We talk about Old West Baltimore, the country's largest nationally historic registered district, being a feeder to Lincoln. There's so many other geographic spaces or places that serve as feeder institutions and communities to Lincoln, that they're worthy of their own individual projects, where you just focus on this Southern contingency that comes up to Lincoln University.
And interestingly enough, the picture was taken in 1914, which is 20 years after Lincoln starts football, and of course started by President Isaac Norton Brindle, who they call Pat Brindle.
In 1894.
Do we know which building there this picture's taken at?
That's actually Vail, and the interestingly enough, Philip had asked me that when we got the
Robert, thank you. Excellent. Thank you, brother.
Question.
That's a great question. Appreciate it.
When we acquired the collection, Philip said, "I wish I knew what that building was." Automatically, I said, "Oh, I recognize that railing on the side. That's Vail."
I recognize it. Yeah, I recognize the Vail because that's where I took my yearbook picture.
Okay,
there we go.
There you go.
Side up there.
And just to show you one other thing, can you show them this for a minute, Veronica?
Let me see.
This can the
take out this.
Wait a minute. We're going to take it out of the archival sleeve for a moment. This was a huge collection that had so many magnificent images, many of them identified, that allows us to do a whole lecture just on this family. Can you see that?
No.
No.
Okay, let me see.
Wait a minute.
Where's my screen?
Hold on a minute. because we want everyone to see this picture at Lincoln in 1918.
Let me see. Okay, if I can I see myself? Where
Are
am
they
I?
graduates? They're
Okay,
graduates
there
on
we
it?
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are proud graduates from Georgia, tied into that Haynes Normal Institute because they all were very close to each other while they were matriculating at Lincoln. So
So just like, you know, you would have your high school friends that you'd go to college with, you all hang out. This was a similar situation. They all come out of Haynes Normal Institute in 1914, go to Lincoln together, and then ultimately graduate together.
And so in this collection of, is it about 100?
About 100.
About 100 rare images, you even get to see one of them marries. And today there's a scholarship
Named
or an
after.
award at Lincoln named after the wife of one of those men from the Haynes Institute that were at Lincoln. So again, the ability to tell good stories in our world starts with the artifact. The artifact allows us to do that steps, those other things to take it to the next level. Keep moving, please.
All right.
Again, I've been enamored with this man. I studied him. I knew what he looked like, and I was determined one day I was going to be blessed to find a photograph. And lo and behold, I found a photograph. So often the dealers don't know who the people are, and that's tied into my intellectual capabilities to recognize them through various skill sets. And this is a really important person that a biographical sketch needs to be done on him for a lot of reasons. And fire away.
So Malone Van Horn is at Lincoln when it's actually the Ashman Institute. He comes in 1859 and he graduates in 1863. So of course he's there during one of the most pivotal times in American history, being the Civil War. And according to Horace Mann Bond's book, Education for Freedom, the university actually feared that Robert E. Lee's troops would actually march up through Gettysburg and eventually somehow get to Chester County. And they, in preparation of that, they had muskets stored at the university that the students could use in case they needed to. So for the students who did not enlist in the Civil War, there were students at the university ready and prepared actually to fight if needed to be, to ward off Robert E. Lee's troops.
And he has an illustrious career in Rhode Island, and there's just so much on him on the internet, but a lot of people don't talk about the musket connection, in the Civil War at Lincoln. We got to pick up the
And
pace.
speaking of Civil War,
this is a man near and dear to my heart. This is a very early image of Christian A. Fleetwood. And I just got to tell you a quick funny story. Thanks to this book right here. Can you hold this up for me?
oh yeah, let me see if I can see.
Can everyone see this book?
I'm assuming so, yeah.
Okay, the book is entitled Just Over the Line, Chester County and the Underground Railroad. And on page, I can't even tell the page, but they have in here, it says, are you ready? It says, rifle belonging to Christian Fleetwood, graduate of Ashman Institute, who was awarded Congressional Medal of Honor for his exemplary courage in the battle. I was determined, since I saw this in a reference book, that I was going to go to the library and find this rifle. I went around with a library person who was in charge at the time, and we went to 7 different places in the building trying to find the rifle. The rifle had fallen to the floor and it was behind a desk, but I was determined I would not give up, because this reference book that came out in 2002, tied into an exhibit in Chester County, said that it was at Lincoln. So I was fortunate enough to find the actual rifle that is here, that is tied into this very important person who was freeborn in Baltimore, who ended up, he was tied into a newspaper publication. And if you do some Washington, D.C. research, you can find out about him later in life in historic Black D.C., a very important person. Again, this was photographed by the earliest known photographer, Alexander McCormick of Oxford, PA.
What office did you find the gun in, Philip?
Too many years, Carol, too many years have gone by now. You got to keep in mind that
I'm sure it was in the library. Probably what happened. In fact, I was there in 2002. I was responsible for loaning it to the
thank you, Susan.
to Bill Cashadis at the Chester County Historical Society. I think what happened was when it came back, the library was closed for several years while they were renovating. And then after they reopened it, that's when they eliminated the job. So,
But
things
see,
happen.
hold on, Bill. I probably, Carol, I probably was on the search with library head Neil Carlson maybe in 2014. So it's gonna be 2013 or 2014 that we went around to different places in the library to find it. I was determined. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, just very quickly, another connection here. Kristen Fleetwood, again, I'm here at in Hampton, Virginia, of course, and right here at Fort Monroe, and spending time as a consultant, et cetera, et cetera. There was the Benjamin Franklin Butler Medal that was struck because he served under Benjamin Franklin Butler. And Benjamin Franklin Butler came into view as far as Lincoln is concerned in the 1880s when he said, you people need to stop this foolishness. You need some African American faculty. That appeared in the Alumni magazine.
There you go.
He was the one who refused to return Shepard Mallory, Frank Baker, and James Townsend to Charles King Mallory, a street that I hate. I'm trying to change the name of it in Hampton. Their enslaver. He refused to return those three men, and that really was the start of the freedom movement successfully. They were the catalyst. Africans in America, they were the ones who started the freedom movement that forced the federal government, ultimately the Emancipation Proclamation, First and Second Confiscation Act, on and on and on. They were the ones who were the catalyst, no one else in terms of success. So that got us to the 13th Amendment, et cetera. And he's dear to my heart. There's a biography out there on him as well. So he wrote about himself as a writer. That man, I really admire him.
As do I. Thank you for that other tidbit that we were not aware of. We got to pick up the pace.
Okay, so before Lincoln is Lincoln, the surrounding community actually is known as Hensonville. And if you ever get a chance to read Hensonville, A Community at the Crossroads by Marianne and Paul Russo, it actually gives you some great information about the background of this free Black community established in the 1830s, and it's wiped off the map completely by the 1880s. Lincoln actually grows out of Hensonville being bought up by the Lincoln faculty. And I don't know, when did you acquire this? Back in
it doesn't matter.
Okay, so this is actually a ledger from a Hensonville / Lincoln University Village company called Henry Cope and Co. They actually sold everything from fertilizer to pieces of pottery to wood, anything you could imagine that you needed to get by in
manure.
manure.
I mean, grain, all kinds of things. Yeah.
So from 1874 to 1876, this ledger in our archives actually documents every transaction that they did with anybody in the village, including very prominent Hensonville Village and University residents, including, and you'll see here at the bottom of this page, on the second page, I.N. Rendell. They did business with Joseph C. Boostle. They did business with retired Underground Railroad operative Sarah Jane Amos, who actually married, I believe, Thomas Amos, and then came back from Liberia after he had died in Liberia and built her house on the campus of Lincoln University.
So in this ledger, you see the supplies that Sarah Jane Amos is using for the house. You see the supplies that Joseph Casey Bustle is using for the largest house in the village. He's a retired Underground Railroad operative. He's got straight connection with William Still, who wrote the seminal book. He's tied into the Robesons. And my dear friend lives in the house. She will not let me in it, but yet she's come to my house and looked all around at everything, but will not let me set foot in her historic house, which I've been trying to get into for years, but that's another story. So keep going. Oh, one other thing. One other thing. Hold up. In this ledger, you get to see through our research some freeborn folk, some formerly enslaved folk. You get to see some Civil War folk. You get to see white important players from Oxford, Delaware, and Oxford, PA, Delaware, and Maryland. So from one ledger that was saved from the trash can, we can interpret our whole story and even put it into
even put it into a technology called ArcGIS, which allows you to build what's called a story map. You can put in images, you can put in audio, you can put in anything you can imagine, and manage, going back to the 5 steps process for an factual journey, build a story out of it.
And I've even been able to talk to the person that acquired it, and she told me the backstory of how her father was the head of the post office in the village back in the day, and that he helped the Cope descendants to demolish a building. And before they demolished the building, her father went inside, saw this, and thought it was worth saving, and then sold it, and I acquired it.
So during my internship, while we were out in the village one day
Move this
taking,
screen. 'cause
yeah,
it's
no,
blocking the picture. There you go.
He's
Back.
not gonna express, yeah. But we were out taking pictures one day, and Philip said, "Well, what is this? What are these two pieces of what look like used to be a building?" So we, of course, naturally snapped a picture of it, and so we believe this was either some part of Hensonville at some point, either a fireplace and a piece of a wall, or some entrance to a building that used to be there.
So what we did with the NEH grant was we went into the village out exploring. And so thanks to Jay Eaton, we have a historic survey that lists all the addresses and names of when people acquired various properties, but we have not had time to try to map this particular place to figure out what used to be there. So yes, the built environment has been bastardized or changed, and some buildings have been razed or demolished, but it's still important to put a name, a face, a spirit, a story to these people that were intimately connected to the university overall. Okay, wait, no, this is a quick
Okay.
story. Quick story here because we run out of time. As we would go through the village frequently, just looking at buildings and reimagining, going on time travel, I saw these two pews outside. I said, what in God's kingdom are they doing out there? Well, years later, I go back because I document the area from 2013 to 2021. I've taken pictures of Hosanna, of Lincoln's campus, of downtown Oxford, of Oxford Cemetery, and a couple other places for another project that we're trying to do. And when I went back last year, only the side of the pew was left. It was stuck in the dirt. So I picked it up and I took it. So I now have a remnant of the pew from the church in the village that is very difficult to get information from. I interviewed an elderly member of the community that worked at Lincoln, and she said as a child, there used to be a cemetery there. So my question is, where are the headstones, where the bodies reinterred, and where's the documentation via death certificates or funeral programs or any other kind of material culture that could lend itself to us understanding who was interred on that site.
Have you ever spoken with Hersey Gray?
Not only have I spoken with Hersey Gray, I've
Okay.
lectured 2 different times at his family's ancestral reunion at Hosanna. Okay.
You missed gonna happen.
No, quickly. Okay.
Can I make a request? Is it
Wait a
possible that
minute.
we all can mute ourselves except for the speaker because there's some background noise that's coming in, and this is being recorded, and this is a very valuable session. And I think it's going to that background noise is going to disrupt the information.
Okay,
we're
that's
receiving.
fine. I'm going to quickly hit this. I'm just going to say 2 things. This rare portrait came out of my favorite structure in the village from Joseph Casey Boostel's house.
Wow.
Hidden in the back of the frame. And I've been taught from my years of being an appraiser on the Antiques Roadshow and on the Chesapeake Collectibles and working with the big Smithsonian and Anacostia and other places across the country to carefully open up the back. This distinguished light bright gentleman from Coatesville was there. I would love to know, was it some type of paramour? Who was this man and why was he hidden behind this magnificent image that came out of a very, very important structure in Lincoln's history? Keep going. Your turn.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get stuck again.
It's frozen again. Hold on. Work with
Who's
us.
the woman?
Well, that's the debate. Open for debate.
Okay.
But at another time, we'll talk about who we think the woman is.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. It's not.
Why is it frozen?
Dr. Phillips,
Okay,
wait a minute. You probably need to get a forensic archaeologist out to that area. We did that in Hampton for the Tucker Cemetery. A forensic archaeology would do, a research would be good finding the graves.
Yeah,
Expensive, Bill.
that would be exciting. Keep going. Go ahead. You
Okay,
can
so
talk.
Reverend Dr. William Abraham Credit is actually referred to in Bond's book as one of Lincoln's most revered alumni. He comes out of Lincoln in the 1880s. He then goes on to pastor a very
Where
prominent
does he
church.
come from?
He comes from Baltimore, a freeborn family that has connections to, again, the Calloway family, has connections to the Waller family. They pretty much have connections to many of the oldest families in Baltimore and throughout Maryland as well. Comes out of Lincoln in the 1880s, goes on to pastor a very prominent church in Philadelphia. And in Bond's book, there's a he reminisces about his first encounter with Reverend Dr. Isaac Norton Rendell, when he says that he was in his study and that Dr. Rendell was the first white man ever to call him Mr. So when Credit left the house, he walked to the woods and stayed there for a long time, repeating to himself, Mr. Credit, Mr. Credit, Mr. Credit. So you can imagine this man coming to Lincoln. He's in his 20s, and the first time a white man ever calls him Mr. is the president of the university. And he's so kind of taken aback and stunned by this, he has to actually say it out loud to himself to actually hear those words. So he's not being referred to as boy, he's not being referred to as any other derogatory term, but by Mr. Credit, Mr. Credit.
At the time, this came from a huge several thousand piece collection that we acquired, a multi-state story. I mixed this person up. I thought he was a formerly enslaved person from Kentucky that was good friends with Frederick Douglass, but it was through additional research that I was able to pinpoint him as being the co-founder of the Downingtown Industrial Agricultural School. Oh, by the way, that's a rare Addison Scurlock photograph. The Smithsonian has a couple 100,000 negatives and prints of one of the more significant Black family-owned photography studios coming out of Washington, D.C. Right.
And this is Credit actually on the campus of Downingtown Industrial and Agricultural Institute. And next to that, you see a letter on letterhead written by one of his daughters.
In 1921. Want to read what it says up top quickly?
At the top, it says Downingtown Industrial and Agricultural School for Negro Youth, Downingtown, PA. And next to principal, it says William A. Credit.
And can you go over here?
Across that, it says Chairman of Trustee Board, Andrew F. Stevens, and J.A. Whitted. I want to make sure I get the name right, who was also a Lincoln grad.
Who helped to funeralize him when he died, by
Was
the
the
way, his
secretary,
classmate.
was
Yeah.
the Secretary Committee of Management.
Where in Downingtown is this?
Do you know where Delaware County Community College is? Along, I think Horseshoe Pike.
No.
Okay.
Is there a picture of me there?
Yeah, but I'm not here.
Okay,
No, County Community College. Oh.
Yeah, if you ever go to Delaware County Community College, that's where Downingtown Industrial used to be. They wiped it out, of course, to create the community college.
And there's no historical marker.
So we got to get a historical marker there.
Right.
Right.
We've got to get
And
historical
right now we're
marker.
getting ready to connect to. Go ahead, Peter Brooks.
Whoa. Heidi ho, everybody. Do you want to introduce me?
Yeah, go ahead. We're proud to have a descendant of the Credit family, of the Waller family, of the Reed family, of the Callaway family. There's 7 different family members of Peter's family that matriculated at Lincoln from the 1870s on. And Peter's going to read a brief couple sentences from his family regarding the Credit and the Downingtown Industrial
and
School.
his grandfather, Cap Callaway.
Yep. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to undervalue the impact that Cab Calloway had on American culture. And of course, Lincoln University is directly tied to that impact in that he writes, the year in Downingtown made a big difference. I walked into Downingtown a little boy and I came out a man. What made the difference was being away from home and having to make it on my own. In Downingtown, if I made a mistake, there was no one to look after me but myself. It was me who would miss out on supper. It was me who would have to work after everyone else was finished. Suddenly, there was nobody to bail me out. Downingtown was the turning point for me. I knew from then on, I had to make it on my own. The words
Peter,
of Cab Calloway.
Peter, thank you for that. Let me ask you, Peter, the other day we were discussing this and you talked about some horses. Could you briefly talk about what your grandfather told you about the horses in Downingtown?
Cab always loved horses. Even when he was in Baltimore before going to Downingtown, he loved to hang out at Pimlico. When he got to Downingtown, because it was his uncle who ran the school, he was the person who was designated to take the horse into town to collect the mail and to buy goods and things like that for the school. So it was as a result of his relationship to horses and his relationship to his uncle, Mr. Credit.
And thanks to Peter, I was able to talk to Cab, the musician's, one of his daughters. First of all, Peter, who's your mother? Peter, who's your mama? What's her name? What's your mama's name?
Kamay Calloway Murphy. Yes.
And how old is she today?
94.
Okay. And how old is your aunt?
I don't know how old my aunt is. 80, 86.
Okay. So Peter's aunt, Cab's daughter, told us at a meeting that Cab actually took her back to Downingtown to walk her around the area to reflect on what it was like when he was there.
That's right. And just for the young people, if you want to know about Cab Calloway, if you reflect back on the Super Bowl halftime, just about every halftime in the Super Bowl is in some way a reflection of Cab Calloway, and especially this year.
And lastly, tied into Cab Calloway, the legacy of them at Lincoln. In Baltimore recently, the city chose to demolish a rare property that belonged to the Calloway family. And it's this kind of situation that is taking the country by storm when we don't properly do historical surveys to document who, what, when, and where. So then when the developers or the planning department or a CDC come along, they have no historical bandwidth with regard to the significance of why this building should be preserved and not demolished for some new modern day structure that will not really pay homage to the important families that live there. All right, we got to keep it moving because of time.
Can I interject something very briefly? This is Victoria Doolin Wilson. I interviewed Cab Calloway when he did his performance at the Apollo Theater in New York. He was in his 90s. And I did not know that he had graduated from Lincoln. It would have been a totally different conversation.
No,
no. He attended.
He didn't. His father did.
He
His
didn't
father
graduate.
But it still would have been a
Calloway.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, his father and I believe also his father's brother graduated from Lincoln, and of course there are some extended relatives.
The musician didn't graduate, but his father did, and a whole treasure trove of other relatives did.
Yes,
yeah.
his uncles.
And
and
one word that mentioned about Lincoln, it would have been another story. But
right. Well, and so to your point, thank you for saying that. To your point, so often Lincoln is not brought into the conversation when it should be, and then when it is, it's incorrect. And the other day, a state senator posted something on social media talking about Warner T. McGuinn, an important attorney from Yale that went there at the behest of Mark Twain on a scholarship, and the black state senator had the nerve to say Lincoln University in Missouri. I flipped my lid because Warner T. McGuinn is a noted graduate of Lincoln and of Yale, and there's a historical marker about him in Old West Baltimore. So I feel the institution, the students, the professors, the administrators, the alumni need to up their game in looking around the country when Lincoln is mentioned to make sure it is mentioned in the correct vein that it rightfully deserves. Keep going.
May I ask a quick question?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, do we have documentation of the matriculation of Brother Cab Calloway at Lincoln University, although he didn't graduate? Do we have documentation of matriculation?
So 3 sources say yes, but I don't have your own website is one. Okay. Another site called storyville.com, which is a record company. And then the third is the one that I like the least, which is Wikipedia. Now, those 3 sites say it. But in order to, validate, sometimes it is almost virtually impossible because the registrar records may not show it. The directories may not show it. And I was speaking to Carol Black about genealogy. You could be in a house, but when the census come along, you're hiding or you're not documented. So then there's no evidence that you were at that address.
True.
I want to say if he was a student at Lincoln, depending on the year, I mean, you say the Lincoln website attributes that did they say what year he graduated?
The Alumni Association.
The Alumni Association page does.
And they attribute it to being 1930, even though in other sources say he came but did not graduate but left in 1930.
Okay. So
but if you read his autobiography, you go to his autobiography, there's nothing in there about he went to a little college somewhere and then on to Chicago to
Crane. We have.
So I would use the autobiography as the primary source.
If I could just finish, the Lincoln University catalogs in certain years, and I believe it would include those years, list the students who were attending. So if he had been there, that would be listed, and I don't think he was, and I don't.
No, it's only the graduates. They only list the graduates of that particular
some
class.
early catalogs do list all the students, but maybe
from freshman up to senior.
Okay, I also say that you can't always rely on the autobiography because
exactly. And is that
Gloria?
Is that Gloria? Is that you, Gloria? I can't see who said that.
Yes, Gloria.
Yes, Gloria.
Okay, Gloria.
What you see is the story you want to tell. Okay, so if you want them to be fine, I'm done with it.
Okay, well, we're claiming them, so that's that.
Okay,
Now,
but wait a minute, Gloria, and J. Paul Stevens, just hold up for a moment. When, and I'm not trying to go one way or another, if he was there, if he isn't there, or was not there, but here's what I really want to say. Even talking to family members, sometimes we break new information to them that they don't know.
Right.
So, in talking to the Calloway family, I dropped so much information on them about various family members from the 1870s forward that they knew nothing about, and they are the living source of the legacy. So, what I'm just trying to say is we shouldn't be highly debating this. We should be trying to get to the bottom so the students understand how difficult and important it is to tell an accurate story and to what degrees we go to put out quality information and not just put out anything like the journalism of today. The New York Times, the Washington Post, we can go down to the CNN, all these groups just put out anything. I value Lincoln's legacy like it was my own alma mater, and it was not. So I never wanted to go out and embarrass my company's name, my name, and put something erroneous about Lincoln if I can help it.
Well, that was my point in bringing it up. I'm sorry I elongated everything, but I do know about Minnie the Moocher. So let's roll.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, cut it out.
Thank you,
Bill,
Bill.
you hidey hole man. Sit down. Keep going.
Okay,
Keep going.
so
keep
moving
going.
right along, there were a number of Lincoln alumni who went on to start other HBCUs, and Reverend Dr. Joseph Charles Price is a prime example. He comes out of Lincoln in the 1880s, and he goes on to start Livingston College in North Carolina. And he also then brings other Lincoln alumni to either be presidents, his successors, or faculty members as well. And a prime example is his successor, Dr. William Harvey Goler.
And he's also active with Webb. And Webb is a name, Reverend Edward Webb is a real name that you need to dig deeper into. He's interred at the White Oxford Cemetery. He's the financial agent. He does a lot. Fundraising. He gets into a heated debate with, is it Rendell? Rendell over how he's promoting the university and the students. But at the end of the day, Webb plays a role in getting the word out about the successes of Lincoln, both oratorically and musically. And we found a rare photograph of him that we have and a rare handwritten letter where he was talking about when he was a missionary. And that segues to the fact that a lot of these folks have missionary experiences, and that shouldn't be under recognized, because that's where you get this concept of giving back, of trying to help the lesser known people, whether it be in America or in Africa or in India or where else or anywhere else. Keep going, because I want to get to the key thing, which is the letter. And I'll let you talk about that. I'm going to let Veronica talk about the 1929 case, and so Dwight can see. Forget the medal, forget the song, forget the. Yeah, here you go. Okay, go.
Okay, so this has got to be, if I had a favorite piece actually, and I probably said something was my favorite earlier, but I changed my mind now. This is actually my favorite piece. And while I was interning, I remember actually coming across this letter. And at the time, I was fascinated by it, but I really didn't understand the full context and the full influence of this letter. And of course, 2019 would have been 90 years since this case had unfortunately happened. We were sitting down watching the news, and I was looking at this letter, and I said, this is a historic version of Black Lives Matter. In 1929, September 8th, 1929, two Lincoln students, Ralph Baker and William Fontaine, were assaulted by a Brooklyn policeman who at the time was not in uniform. Baker was shot in the back and for a few days lay at the point of death. So imagine that. These two Lincoln students were at a train station. They were mistaken for two other suspects. The policeman who was not in uniform had a gun, ran after them, and shot one of them. Now, thankfully, Ralph Baker actually does live. He does go on to actually file charges against the Brooklyn Police Department, and unfortunately, they are not successful. But automatically, a telegram is dispatched to the Lincoln University Alumni Association and to the NAACP, who get on the case right away.
But give them addresses, because Dwight wanted
to know. Dwight, sorry, I'm sorry. I went on forever. Yeah. The address of the Lincoln University Alumni Association is 309 Bank Street, Newark, New Jersey. And that's where the secretary actually lived. William M. Ashby, the secretary of the Alumni Association, lived at that address.
And Ashby was a mentor to Doc Chambers, who helped to mentor us. Dr. Walter Chambers, a proud Lincoln alum, who's mentored us over the years, was mentored by Ashby. And also
And
give
there's-
up the addresses up there, please.
Right. And there's also a name that some people should actually be familiar with, Robert B. McCrary. There is a McCrary Hall on Lincoln's campus. And when Robert Baxter McCrary died, in his will, he bequeathed money to Lincoln University for a building to be established in his name. And that is today McCrary Hall, the male dormitory.
And
I met Mr. Ashby, and the social services building in Trenton is named after him.
Yes, after Ashby. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I began because I've been mentored so astutely by Doc Chambers. That's one of the first things he taught me was about the building. So yeah, most definitely.
I want to say that my mentee, we need that letter because she's doing her report on Fontaine.
Yeah, well, we
So
got
we
something
need
else
that
for you,
information.
but hold on a minute.
Different funds. He's got a lot more, Dwight.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Want to just give up some of these other addresses right there, please?
Yeah, so then
If you move this.
yeah, give me 1 second. The treasurer of the Alumni Association actually was on staff at Morgan College at the time, John W. Haywood. And then, of course, Robert B. McCrary, the president, lived at 1515 Druid Hill Avenue.
And so if I could just quickly, again, Old West Baltimore, obviously I used to live in Baltimore, and that's why we have the website oldwestbaltimore.com that I encourage you to visit and subscribe to and buy our new book. In the new book, there are 5 Lincolnites in it, but they're not mentioned as Lincolnites, but some of you scholars might recognize them as Lincolnites. One is George L. Russell, the second, George L. Russell Jr., who was in his 90s, comes out of Lincoln in the class of 50, and is a pioneer in the legal world and needs to be recognized since he's up in age, and his wife just passed recently. So John W. Hayward is a Lincoln grad connected to Morgan. And I fought to get this story in a Baltimore Historical Society Facebook page, but the administrators wouldn't allow it, even though it was addressed to a Lincoln graduate in Baltimore on Druid Hill Avenue. And the head of the Baltimore chapter at the time, the president, was none other than Robert B. McCrary on Druid Hill. And I fought and I lost. So again, I'm always trying to uplift the Lincoln legacy in places and ways that it has not been. Keep going. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I got another letter from William Fontaine, actually pertaining to William Fontaine. He's writing to fellow Lincoln alum, Professor Joseph Newton Hill. Of course, many of you know him as the first Black faculty member at Lincoln University. And because there's a familiarity, a brotherhood, a fraternity between them, he just says, Dear Joe. So, not, Dear Professor Hill, just Dear Joe.
Read it. It's a
He
fascinating
says,
letter.
Dear Joe, please excuse my tardiness in replying to your letter. We work on the quarter system and are kept generally busy. You know the old land grant college credo is 24 hours a day. And then he goes on to talk about them trying to bring a singer to Lincoln University, and he's endorsing this woman, saying, she would be a great addition to your program.
And then right there.
Things are just so and so for Willabelle and me, Willabelle being his wife. I managed to sneak through a publication now and then. There will probably be an article in the Journal of Negro Education in January 40. If it comes out, I am sure you will enjoy it. May get up that way Christmas, and anytime best wishes to Louise and the little girls. Yours truly, W.T. Fontaine.
So in a whole nother project with some academic PhDs that we're doing where the university wants to look at Black PhDs, Fontaine is in that project. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is to learn more about that article that should have come out in the Journal of Negro Education in January 1940. Also, with regard to J. Newton Hill, if you go back further and peel that onion that we started off with, you realize that the Hills are a big part of Lincoln's legacy. And it started with Daniel Grafton Hill Sr., who is also briefly at Storer College in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, which became defunct because of Brown v. Board in the 50s, and is a instrumental pastor in Old West Baltimore. So again, you see the legacy, the connection, the onion, the layers, and it's all wrapped together in a fascinating way. Keep going. I'll do this for the alpha. Is anybody in alpha?
No.
No alphas here.
No alphas in this presentation? But make the New Jersey connection, please. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so this is a grand reception invitation tendered to the new chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, which is the chapter coming out of Lincoln University. And they're being invited to it looks like a party on Kentucky Avenue in Atlantic City, New Jersey, in March 1913. And I believe they were established on Lincoln's campus in 1912.
And so this is early in the embryonic days of the Alpha chapter at Lincoln. And
So on the right side, you actually see the officers, C.M. Kane, who was connected, I think, believe to the Alumni Association. And
Yeah.
he also is connected and big in Atlantic City.
with the YMCA.
Right.
So Seymour, what's his first?
C. Morris Kane.
Morris Kane is a big player in Black Atlantic City's history. So keep going. Some pictures of, okay. At the time when I met Dr. Levi Wachuku, I had no idea who the man was. I was just excited to be in his home. And he signed this to me in 2013.
2013, yeah.
And he was just really overwhelmed with an outsider's knowledge of a place that he had given his life to. And now I treasure this even more since he's transitioned. And I know that generations of people sat in his class and revered him for his contributions to Lincoln.
And last but not least.
Go ahead. Go ahead, tell a story.
Of course, I'm a proud Lincoln alum, as I know that Carol is. I know that many of you are. And I bleed orange and blue. And so, of course, I had to bring the one person that I love and adore and who is my world basically now. And that is my soon-to-be 4-month-old daughter, Isabella. At the time, she was about 2 weeks old and was asleep. So, could not have cared less that mom was at her alma mater. But I had to sit in front of the Lincoln sign and I had to take a picture with her.
And what was she wearing?
And they actually, interestingly enough,
Absolutely adorable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, interestingly enough, that day, Pennsylvania had actually just been declared for Joe Biden. So I had a Biden-Harris onesie for her. So I popped it on. I said, okay, here we are history making with our first female vice president. I have to go take a picture in front of Lincoln. And sure enough, that's how that picture came out.
So,
proud of you, Veronica.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Because we went over time.
Yeah,
but,
we know
I have one question.
Yeah.
Yes, one at a time, please.
Yeah. One real quick piece of trivia. There were no zip codes. We had to wait till 1963, I think. If you look at those letters, how did they ever make it? So I'm finished.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Hello, are you familiar with Dr. Charles Blockson?
Very much so.
Yes.
And what he's done at Temple. As a matter of fact, in one of Blockson's books, he talks about the Underground Railroad, but it's not a documented source on Lincoln's campus. And we've been trying for years to figure out, to verify what Blockson said in one of his books about the Underground Railroad at Lincoln's campus.
Dr. Blockson tried to give his collection of 200,000 artifacts and things like that to Lincoln University. He wanted it housed on the campus because it was one of the largest collections of African memorabilia and artifacts. And unfortunately, we had an individual who was an AirSat's president, unlike the one that we just got rid of, who refused it. And that's how it ended up at Temple.
Well, the old saying is everything happens for a reason, right?
I presume.
Yeah.
Dr. Merrill.
Yes.
How did you come up with the name Nanny Jack for your company?
Oh yeah, you did.
Okay. Great question. My great grandmother was a midwife.
The woman you actually
The woman in the corner. Her name was Gertrude B. Jackson. Everybody called her Nanny Jack because of her age. Also, she did domestic work. She came from West Virginia, migrated to East Towson, a colored enclave in Baltimore County near a plantation site where many formerly enslaved and freeborn people migrated to, and that's where the name came from. So often people know Nanny Jack and Company, but they don't know who's behind it. They know the name and the logo.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Peter.
Peter?
Are you still there? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Many years ago, I guess it was over 30 years ago, it was in the 1980s, my sons went to the Hockessin Montessori School. And they went to school with Caleb, who was a grandson of Cab, but I don't even remember what his last name was. And they lived in Delaware. And so Cab had a connection and later a school, a charter school or an art school named after Cab Calloway School. So I'm just curious, where is Caleb now? I have no idea.
Caleb is in the upper Northwest, I think Seattle. And I think he's involved in the music industry.
Okay. Thank you.
I have an observation, Dr. Merrill, and that is Jessica Gardner is listed as librarian and archivist at Lincoln University. So we could perhaps engage her input at this point.
We tried for quite some time to interact with her as well as Sophia Satilia, and there was another lady.
Carla Surratt.
Carla Surratt is the name Surratt?
Yeah, Carla Surratt. Yeah.
I'm not looking at my notes, so but over the years, we have sent countless emails, which we've saved. We've made phone calls, we've made visits, and the rest is history.
Okay, just thought I'd add that she's now got a title, but that may, I'll look into it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to thank you. I'm a Lincoln graduate, class of
Okay.
1967. Levi Wachuku was one of our classmates. But
Gotcha.
over and above all of that, I just want to thank you for your commitment, passion, and approach, scholarly approach to uncovering and putting forth information about our beloved alma mater. And just thank you very much. And if I can be of some support and help to mobilize other alumni to support your work, I appreciate you and all of the other people who are involved with this project and the other projects. It's very necessary, very important work. And I can't speak for all alumni, but for myself personally, I value it. And again, greatly appreciate your commitment on this work. Thank you much.
I thank you for that comment. And I just want to say, Robert, that we are diligently working on a groundbreaking book that we need some type of assistance on that would help to put Lincoln in a different light with regard to voter suppression in the 1870s. Often, when you look at the Stanley Nelson film, Tell Them We Are Rising or Tell Them They Are Rising, I don't know the exact name, We Are Rising, I was outdone that Lincoln barely was mentioned in a nationally distributed film on PBS. And my goal is for the rest of the country to understand that when you talk about HBCUs, one of the key sentences in your paragraph need to be Ashland Institute / Lincoln University. So that led us indirectly off of doing that walking tour and keynote lecture in Pennsylvania for Westchester, where we were uncovering this voter suppression case, which is above the Mason-Dixon line, is not down south, and it's way before any civil rights activities that take place in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s in downtown Oxford. And we have not been able to move this effort where we want it to go, but the research is phenomenal. We've even tracked down who had been enslaved and who was free. And then we even went on to look at people that were not in the court testified case, but just were involved in voting shortly after the 15th Amendment in 1870. And it's a phenomenal story that can give a whole new framework for the beloved Lincoln University. Okay, so we could talk off air or another time, exchange emails or whatever.
Yes.
And I would love to talk to you about that. And then another concept we can talk about later.
I think Bill's got a question.
Brother Dr. Merrill, real quick, as an adopted Lion and my devotion to the Lincoln University, everybody knows that. I still want to express my disappointment, and maybe you can help me get over it, that the African American History Museum, History and Culture, and I know Rex Ellis, he's a good friend. I'm acquainted with Lonnie Bunch, but I'm still very disappointed about the absence of the presence of the Lincoln University in that museum. It's unacceptable, just as it is unacceptable for the whole contraband piece. And I did get a plaque in there for 1619 on the ground floor, but you can barely see it. So maybe you can help facilitate getting Lincoln University in there, because the HBCUs represented there do not represent Lincoln University. And so we need to push that, and you're right on point.
Okay, but let me answer your question first. John Franklin came to Lincoln
right
with an effort, and the effort didn't go anywhere.
I'm
aware of that.
That was because that idiot was here.
Okay, but I'm not calling names. Okay,
I didn't call names. I said that idiot.
Okay, but I'm not calling any names, because I can go down a list of a bunch of idiots, but we won't go there. Okay, but let me say this. let me say this. I know Lonnie Bunch, I know John Franklin, and people think that the Smithsonian is the end all be all. And hear me out for a minute. If Lincoln created a cutting edge, since the ground is hallowed ground, okay? If Lincoln has a one of a kind archive, interpretation, research, the people from the Smithsonian are going to come to Lincoln, as will all the visitors. They're going to come to the actual campus because,
Amen.
I'm sorry?
I said amen.
And so, I'm trying to say, put on a different hat, take that hat off you have and put on a different one, okay? Put on a different one that says, okay, the Smithsonian did us a favor. When a door closes, another one opens. And that's the way I lead my life. So let me just drop this on you. I won't go into detail, but I'm highly frustrated with Lincoln University as an institution, okay?
Yes.
We won't go any further than that. So what I decided to do was to put on another hat. There's always another way to get something done that will cause those other people to sit back to say, uh-oh, I think we messed up with those people, okay?
Yeah.
Lincoln rightfully deserves to be at the Smithsonian. It rightfully deserved to be in that film that Stanley Nelson did, and it rightfully deserves to be at the mantle, the top tier of HBCU history, heritage, narrative, and it's not there.
Right.
It's just not. And as an independent, we get thrown a lot of shade because we are an independent and we don't get the support. So I don't even ask for the support anymore. And then this is not me being angry. I love Lincoln like I went there. I sat with Dr. Chambers for hours and days upon days. And I love Dr. Chambers. I don't even know how he's doing now. But anyway, he said, Philip, I haven't met anyone that knows more about Lincoln than you do. And he thought he knew it all. And I don't know it all. I learn, I make mistakes, but Veronica will tell you, my mother will tell you, I am always digging in resources, trying to uncover some new aspect about Lincoln's legacy that we need to know about so the staff and the students can be proud. That, you know what, I don't even go on the campus anymore, but I go to Hosanna, I take pictures of the Memorial Arch, I even do more research. So I didn't go to Lincoln. Let's get this straight. I went to a Jesuit school, and I have an honorary doctorate from a Baptist seminary, a Black Baptist seminary. Okay, so I love this school, and why isn't it moving forward?
It is
Right?
moving forward. I think that we also ought to see the progress in many corners and the unsung heroic stories of students who have persevered and continue and are part of this project. And I think that this project is one other step. It's a cornerstone in the future that you describe. And it's quite obvious that you are our advocate, that your work is groundbreaking and essential to what we're doing. But I think we ought not minimize the work that is currently being done because our students are great. And the work that these mentors are doing is great. And the investment that adults make in our students. And I remember Dr. Nelson saying that what our charge was to pick students up, and I hope no student is listening to this, but anyway, brush them off and set them on their way. And that's what we do, and we do it well. So that being said, your voice is heard, and I'm delighted that it's recorded.
No.
Because I think the initiative, I think what I hear from what you're saying is maybe the way to address this is the whole archival piece. And the only reason I mentioned the current librarian with a title is because it shows at least some recognition of the importance of archives. But of course, now it may be that with our recent grant, or gift rather, I should say, which was substantive, it could be that some of those funds could be allotted toward that. I'm not in that conversation, but there may be things that we're not aware of. But believe me, if I have an opportunity, I'll advance this cause. So that's all I have to say.
And as you know, Philip, where I stand, I think the Alumni Association can also be supportive and help move things along. So I am committed to that. Wouldn't it be nice if the Lincoln University Press printed your new book?
Yeah.
It would be great.
I would like to see
Well,
an avowed excuse me, let me finish
I'm
saying.
sorry.
Wait a
I
minute,
can,
let Dr. Button finish.
sure.
I would like to see an endowed chair for a historian who would endorse the history of Lincoln in its many facets.
That's great. That's great. Who was trying to speak?
Me, Deborah Johnson, and I just wanted to say that what I can promise is that in our next alumni newsletter, we will focus on the book. So I'll be talking to you, Dr. Merrill.
Okay, thank you very much. I have one other interesting thing for you, both for everyone here. We are in the process of leaving the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and so we're going down south, and I won't be able to walk around Oxford and take pictures, and we can't document like we have been. I'm sorry.
I said, we will pray for you. You're going
Okay,
to-
thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Gloria. And also at another time, I would like to pitch a digital conversation with the alumni group. We've been working on a groundbreaking 3D hologram augmented reality approach to history and culture with content. This also would further the legacy and cause of Lincoln University, and it would resonate tremendously with the current student population and looking at a multi-billion-dollar industry known as heritage tourism, which Carol Black, I know, is very much aware of and interested in because of that. I'm sorry?
Oh, you're absolutely right on, Philip, right on.
And so as I wrap this up, when we research Lincoln, we don't just look at it as one entity. We look at the town, the surrounding demographics of Oxford. We look at what was once formerly Hensonville. We look at the village, and then we look at below the Mason-Dixon line, and we look at Hartford and Cecil County, because those are geographically annexed or nearby counties that are filtering in quite a bit of organizations and people to Lincoln University. So I'm done. Time for my glass of Moscato.
Thank you so very, very much.
Yeah, wait a minute, Dwight. Go ahead, Dwight. Go ahead.
Yes, how can we get in contact with you? Very important for me.
Okay.
Here, do you want your
Yeah, you can go to oldwestbaltimore.com and subscribe to our website. You can buy a new book from there.
I
And
will.
soon there will be a nannyjack.com website, which will be the parent website of all of our other work that we do. But so for right now, you can hit us up at oldwestbaltimore.com, and we can have all kinds of conversations. And I might add that I used to be more active in different Lincoln related pages on social media, but due to the lack of traction and so forth, I just decided that I was done posting information on those various sites, and just decided that we would put them, on our own pages or website or wherever else, and let the chips fall where they may.
I thank you very much, my dear brother.
No, thank you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Merrill. And if it's not inappropriate to ask about the South, as I was born on the St. Aug campus 100 years ago, would you mind telling me where you're going below the Mason-Dixon line? If not, just don't worry.
Okay, but hold up a minute. You were born on St. Aug's campus?
Yeah, one or two places I could be born because I wasn't bright enough. That was way back. I'll give my age, back in 1947, and I have 2 birth dates. They didn't care.
Okay, I love it. We could talk about St. Aug's at another time. We're moving into the Mecklenburg County region.
Uh-oh. Okay, I know Mecklenburg. Have fun.
No. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments?
I would suggest that you send us a little something every once in a while just to let us know you're okay. Anytime somebody goes below certain points of the Mason-Dixon line.
Thank you, Gloria.
Gloria, thank you.
Carol, are we meeting on Monday as a follow-up, or do we have a thought about that?
We have not thought about it.
Okay, let's regroup. We'll send an email out regarding Monday then.
All right. Dr. Merrill.
The editor of the Black newspaper in Charlotte is a Lincoln alum. Gerald
Yeah.
Johnson.
Gerald
Yeah.
Johnson, yeah.
Oh, nice,
Nice.
nice. Well, and you speaking of Lincoln alum, we've been researching the Philadelphia Tribune,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Editor,
and the second editor was a Lincoln alum.
Mm.
See, so again, when I say Lincoln's history is everywhere, it literally is everywhere. And I got to keep going back to that onion that I use all the time. It's just a never ending kind of story that sometimes keeps us awake at night. And my family, Veronica, my mom, and everyone else get tired of me talking about, look at my new Lincoln
Even
discovery.
poor Isabella now.
Okay.
I have
Okay.
a question for Dr. Merrill.
I'm
Could I-
sorry.
I have a question.
Sure.
In your role and your position as a historian, are you not in a position to talk with the African American History Society or museum and point out this lapse? I mean, is it just on our shoulders? And I'm not placing,
Yeah, no,
onus
it is on your shoulders because when they come to me, they want to pick my brain. And we don't run pickmybrain.com. And they want us to donate collections from our archives. They want me to come up with curatorial concepts that they can use. So there's no reciprocity in anything from my organization communicating with them that benefits us. It's all one-sided. So I no longer do evaluations for any of their clients for content there. I don't even communicate with any of those people anymore because I'm not happy with the lack of equity that has not been at the table.
Okay.
So and just tied into that, I can talk to various other people across the country. One colleague that I talk with quite a bit from Detroit, he has his own business and he runs the Black History 101 museum, a mobile museum. And he just recently got a new PhD, and they want his formula for free. So a lot of independent organizations or independent scholars aren't enamored, aren't in love, or aren't impressed with, oh, this is the Smithsonian, because we are immersed in the same kind of content every day and have been before they opened up. If I would go anywhere, it would be to Anacostia, which is like their stepchild museum, which they've totally mistreated the staff. They've gone in and just taken whatever they wanted out of the archives. And that museum was there before the birth of this new, magnificent bells and whistles institution. So we're the wrong consultant to go there. John Franklin is an old friend. So, I think that's really a place to start, even though he's retired. He still can, say, hey, let me open the door or let me revisit this and have you talk to so-and-so.
Yeah, I have to stop giving it away too. I had to stop giving it away because that just is not right. I'm sorry. You have to do that. Thank you, my brother.
Okay, pleasure. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Philip.
Prayers to everybody. Love
Thank
you
you,
guys.
alumni. If the alumni can stay on for a few minutes, the students are certainly free to go. I don't know if any of them are still on as it is. Let me see. Students are gone. Oh, Mia, you can go. Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Mia. Thanks for your great comment, Mia.
I had a good time. Very informative. See you guys later.
See ya. Okay. Okay, good. Hey, everybody. We haven't had a meeting of just the AAL project, history project, because we've gotten so involved in the class. But most of you are actually in the class. You're not really outside of just on the committee. So I was going to bring everybody up to speed on the class, but I think you're in it. And so you have that information, but I am interested in any, I guess, observations, any help, any suggestions you may have for the class. They have now been assigned their alumni, and I left that up to you to let them know. And have you all?
Okay, I'm still unclear about the Monday session.
Yeah.
Because we talked about the group Thursday, the mentors, individual meeting. So what's Monday about again?
Monday, you might have missed a meeting, and that's easy to do because things are sort of being done as we go along.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we decided that Monday would not be a full group class, but it would be an opportunity for the students to meet one-on-one with their mentors.
Wait a minute, wait. But we already, but I made an appointment with my student, but are we supposed to do it on Monday or
No, any
we
day.
just individual working out individually?
It does not have to be on Monday.
Okay.
It could be any day. And
So if I miss Monday, I'm not really missing anything.
No, you're not. You're
No.
not.
In fact, I sort of misspoke. I was feeling like we might want to regroup after this meeting, but we're doing it now. So
yes,
there's no standing Monday meeting because of the mentoring relationship. Thursday is a fixed entity.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And I think, Pablo, you had met with your mentee actually before I think anybody else did, which was great.
You're really on top of it.
Yeah, yeah. By now, has everybody met with their student?
I have a question. This is Love Dorsey. I'm kind of speaking for me and Kathy, but is it mandatory for the scholar to come to Thursday's class?
Okay, so we have two.
That's a big problem.
Yes, it's a problem for two of our students, and we have told them that they can listen to the recording if they're not able, because they have work schedules. Now, they asked to do an independent study, but independent studies are not allowed if the course is being taught that semester. So either they had to make a decision as to whether to drop out entirely or to work with a mentor and to listen to the Thursday class on the with the recording.
But then the person is not engaged in the class if they're missing all Thursday classes and late on a Monday.
They're not engaged. They're not engaged in terms of dialogue, but you notice that many students came today and didn't say a word. So
many of us didn't say a word. Did you notice how quiet I was?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying, yeah, but I'm defending these kids because Carol, you take over because you know, who was it, Nisa, and I think it's Taylor's the other one that couldn't come sometimes on Thursdays. Am I right on that?
No Thursday.
No, it's Anissa could not come, and then it was Kaya. Mosley could not come, but Kaya is coming. She's managed to, recreate her schedule.
And Taylor cannot come.
Okay.
Murph, look at your text message. Murph, look at the chat.
Yeah, I did. Oh,
I didn't understand.
I sent you my number. I'm gonna look again.
I see it. Thank you.
Okay.
Did anyone take attendance today? The students, I didn't look at all the participants. Did you take attendance?
I'll have the participant list, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So there's Taylor and Nisa.
So students do have the opportunity to watch the recording. I think my sister
Yes.
might have missed last week, but then she said she had started watching the recording. So I mean they have that option.
Right. I'm sending all audio recordings. I'm not sending the video because it's too big a file. But I am sending the audio so they will all have it, whether they came to the class or not.
But it sounds like.
So what happens when they have to report out on Thursdays and the person can't make it? Will she do a Loom recording and send it in and we play it?
That's a good point.
Now, I will ask her that when Kathy and I meet with her on Monday.
So
isn't the spring break? When is spring break?
Oh, yeah,
next week. Next week, isn't it?
Are they going to have spring break?
No.
I thought.
It's on the syllabus, Dr. Button's syllabus. It's on for.
Dr. Button, are they going to have it?
Well, there are no classes unless I'm missing something. They're using it to move students back onto campus.
That's next week.
Yeah, I'm going to Cancun.
You going where?
I'm lying. with Ted Cruz.
Great idea. So, who is your mentee?
Ajwa?
Yeah, Ajwa.
Shelton Taylor. Kathy and I are working with her.
And how is it going? It doesn't sound like it's going well, is it?
Well, we haven't met with her yet, and she asked us, I'm sorry she didn't ask us Monday to meet. She waited till Monday evening to say, can we meet on Mondays?
So you have not met with her at all?
Or was that Tuesday, Kathy?
I think it was Tuesday.
She met a Tuesday to ask, can we meet on Mondays? We done lost it, And now you're telling me next week is spring break?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they can't make up for it. I mean, I can send her an email and say, listen, if you're going to be in this, well, she is in the class actually, but that she needs to be more
Proactive?
proactive.
Engaging.
No, we'll send her the text. Don't worry about it. We got this covered.
Okay.
We'll send her the text.
We've
Yeah.
never seen her. She has a picture on when we do the video.
But that's all right, Kathy, because when we meet with her, we doing Zoom. So don't even worry about it.
That's
And I'm
funny,
not talking to anybody if I can't see them.
She was so excited at the beginning. She was one of the first ones who said, oh, this is wonderful and so forth. So she
And
was,
then she also told us, but Dr. Button knows that I cannot make it Thursdays and she's going to come in late some Mondays. I was like,
you know, I'm going to admit that that may have been at the very beginning when we had like 2 people and I'm like, okay.
and you were desperate, right? You were desperate, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
probably.
Okay, we just want to know what would she like to do and how would she like to work?
And the fact that she has a product and she's being graded, that might cause some response.
And she did select her alumni to write about. She selected Mary Harris and Hildreth Poindexter.
I thought they had 3. They only have 2. Oh,
No, they could give us 3 preferences, but we would assign them 2.
Okay. All right.
So I do think an email needs to come from Dr. Button as well to her.
All right.
Because they may go like, well, you don't count because you don't give the grade or anything like that. You know how students think.
I will be counting, Carol. I
Yes,
will be
good.
counting.
I'll copy you on my email.
Oh, good. Can you make sure you have Kathy Reardon's
I will.
Yahoo?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Carol, did you add Kathy to the thread? I always just forward them to her. She
Yes, I
my
did.
little
She's on the
notes.
thread. She's
Yeah,
on.
I started getting them.
Yeah. And
Why
I
you didn't say that?
apologize.
You just like me to repeat?
No, she's on. She's on. Now, Dr. Button, I did not get the alum choices or preferences from Shania DeBose or Nazira Purnell. I didn't want to say anything online today.
Nazira, now I would imagine Nazira, I can't answer it off the top of my head, but Nazira is no problem. I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm supposed to see her at, I guess, 5 o'clock your time. Yeah, no, 8 o'clock your time. So I'll
tell her she did not submit the form.
Wait a minute, we did Franklin Williams, Robert Taylor, and Robert Ireland, and Charles Saunders. So are you saying there's 2 out of those 3?
She has to submit the form.
Good.
It's one thing to send it. I didn't ask for an email and I didn't ask for it to come to the mentor. I asked the student to submit.
Oh, is that the form with the Google, you had to get on the Google stuff? Okay.
No, it's a JOT form.
But you had to sign up for it, right?
No, they just have to indicate their first, second, and third preference.
Oh, okay.
That's all. I'll send it to you and you can send it to
I'll
her.
talk to her about it. I'll talk to her about it.
Now, who's Shania? Who is the mentor for Shania DeBose? Is she still in the class, Dr. Button?
I don't think she is actually.
I remember the other Anissa is out of the class, but I thought Shania was in.
Anissa, I believe she's still in, isn't she?
Anissa's in, yes.
Is she yours?
That's Roberts, yeah. Now she submitted her form late, so she did not get her first choice, Rob. So I crossed off William Fontaine and she gets Martin Kilson and Bruce Wright.
Okay.
And Taylor Shelton, or Shelton, what is her name? Taylor Shelton. She submitted the form twice. So it's like she really wants to get it done, but they don't seem to know they're supposed to initiate contact with the mentors. And we've told them that. But I guess they forget.
It's a new process.
Yeah, it's new. Yeah. Well, wait a minute, who is Shania? I gotta figure out. Nobody's recognizing Shania.
I don't.
Yeah, somebody was assigned to Ryan Welburn as an independent study at one point.
Right.
No, that's Abigail.
That's Abigail.
Abigail is on board. She's totally on board, and I'm overseeing that as well. Ron and I are doing that together.
I mean, I can tell who our mentor is. Just a minute, let me get it up here.
We need another sheet that says who these people are doing. So that we can-
I got it, Shania. Let's see. Shania. Huh. Social work. Oh, no wonder. Charmin Lawrence Wilson is supposed to be her mentor. And I don't think they've ever connected. And Charmin has not been on these calls. But Charmin has told me by email that they've talked on the phone. So that's just bad. We just got to get her back on track. But she's not coming to class either, so that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you go over appoint the relationships, for example, Wiggins, Mr. William Wiggins, who does he have?
Bill Wiggins has
Outerbridge.
Deja.
Deja Outerbridge, and we're having a good time.
I bet you are. Okay. How about Dwight Murph? Who do you have?
Dwight has Kaya Punter.
Oh, Kaya, of course.
And she has Fontaine and Ezekwe.
Ezekwe and Fontaine.
She got her people who submitted the form got their first and second choice.
Okay, and Ajoya has Taylor.
And I'm sending out the PowerPoint again, and you'll see the assignments on the last.
Okay.
On the last slide, so it's there. But I don't have anything for Shania or Nazira.
Well, Nazira is a quick study. When she's on it, she'll get going.
Yeah. But then again, see, when I went to Lincoln, you got penalized and you didn't do stuff on the day and the hour. But, we're trying to work with the students. But, they got to work with us.
Yes. Here say, yep. Here. Old school.
Right. Any other questions? Everybody's good?
Would we like to hear from Jessica Gardner, who is listed as the archivist? I don't know if we want to hear from her or not. I would think that we would, but I'm afraid to hear what she's going to say in terms of the magnitude of her appointment.
When did she become archivist? I thought we didn't have one.
She's always been positioned to be an archivist. She's trained at Harvard. Her degree isn't from Harvard, but she knows all about archives, and she's the one who's been keeping an eye out for it. But she has not been empowered to, take a strong lead. That's the problem. But at least now she's got that attached to her name, which says something.
Well, what's everybody feel about having her come in?
We need to know what's available, and we should stop just beating around the bush, because you got to get into the archives.
Right.
I mean, that's the bottom
Our
line.
students are going to be wanting to get into the archives, so we got to get to know her.
I would personally like to hear her, because we will then have a firsthand knowledge of what the situation is.
Yeah. And when I've been in the archives, it's been so rewarding, yet at the same time, I started calling it the dark hives. But you need to get in there to really get your feet wet if you're really serious about some research, and we all know that.
Yeah, I'll send her an email, and Carol, when you give me the calendar of who these other people are that you've invited, can you give me some dates as to when we can invite her?
Yeah, I've been telling, and I only have one other one confirmed. That's Greg Miller, who was on today. He's coming on the 11th of March.
March 11th.
Right. I've been working with Von Thomas. I have to call him this evening to get him, but I don't have any other commitments. So all the other Thursdays are open.
Okay.
And if any of the alum, the mentors, if you have someone you want to come in, let me know, or you can contact them directly.
So we won't meet as a quote faculty or whatever until after spring break. I just want to make that understand that, so I can know what I have to anticipate coming down the pike. Is that correct? Baltimore Pike.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
This was our grand send off into the, stratosphere. So.
Okay, Kathy, we going to Cancun.
I'm already packed.
You don't need to be packed, Kathy. Just go.
Packed with money. And my toothbrush.
I know you got the toothbrush.
Got
We
the
know that.
toothbrush.
You know what kind of bag they call that, Kathy?
What?
I'm not repeating it. It's an HO bag. Okay, Susan, I have a straight face now.
Okay, that's all I have. Anybody else have anything else? Any other questions,
A couple of
concerns,
things.
comments?
My,
One is,
I did send an
first,
attachment with my thesis, and I just,
Oh, yeah.
got it. And I hope, Marilyn, that you can put it on Canvas because it's a PDF. If you can't, well, I have sent it to everybody, but
Right.
it would be nice to have it. So that
Yes,
Yeah.
it needs to go on, it needs to go on the Canvas, absolutely. You sent it to us all, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the due date for the first, one thing, we should get our language clear. So I thought at one point we said we're talking about biographical essays. That is, each student will be writing several paragraphs on the assigned alumnus that they have, or alumni. And so, so that's going to be what's going to be polished for publication. And that, I thought we said we were going to call that a biographical essay and not the bio sketch.
That is correct. That, yes, that is
So
correct.
can we keep that language clear then?
Yes.
more than a couple of paragraphs, isn't it? I thought it was a couple of
Yeah,
pages.
it's more than that. It's, we said, Dr.
Okay.
Button, you said 1,500 to 3,000 words, didn't you?
Well, yeah, well, I mean, whatever the limit was, I just want to be clear that that's the product that the students have to deliver. They have two products to deliver, one for each of their assigned persons.
Right.
The first one is due at midterm, which is which date?
The draft is due the 8th week, which is the week of March 15th to the 19th. If you pull out your syllabus,
Yeah, I know.
you'll
Yeah, I
see
just
it
want to be
there.
clear.
Right.
Okay. So there is an upcoming deadline for a deliverable.
Right.
Yes.
March 15th to the 19th.
That syllabus, there's a draft due, and then there's a week span during which they produce the draft, and then we'll have a workshop on one of those Thursdays and maybe do some editing and go over parameters and citation format and things like that. And then they'll have a week to brush it and submit it.
And the second one is the draft is due the week of April 19th to the 23rd, the 13th week. So
Where can I find more information or information about your Canvas? You keep mentioning Canvas, and I think I know. Yeah, I mean, where can I find more so that I know exactly what that is?
Well, the problem is now we got a pretty thorough answer from the librarian regarding accessing the databases. But now the Canvas is the online learning platform that students use. And so you have to have an account.
Right.
That question I didn't actually ask, but the idea was, well, the tentative solution was the same materials that would be placed on Canvas would be accessible to mentors. I think Carol said Carol, help me out here, on some other platform.
I'm sorry.
When we were talking last, we were talking about the same body of material.
Oh, yes.
Available to both mentors and students. Students couldn't access it through Canvas, and short of faculty having access, but I don't see why they couldn't use the student, code to get in. But short of that, there was another platform that you suggested we use to make the same materials available to the mentors.
Yeah, I'm just using my Google Drive and sharing it.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with that, identifying the materials to put on Canvas for students. Students can use whatever's in the library. Carol, you bought cards for everyone on.
Well, no, I got my own card. Did you see the memo Dr. Button sent from the librarian about how we can get power cards from the state of Pennsylvania? Now,
Nope.
we're not all in Pennsylvania, so there's an issue too.
No, I didn't see it.
Right. Okay, I'll resend that.
But I'm in Virginia, so I'm out.
Right. So, right.
I did ask them because I would like to have access to the databases at my alma mater, that is to say, University of Delaware, and I was floored when I found out that wasn't possible. That's policy apparently. It has something to do with the numbers of how many people use the database and so forth. So generally speaking, alumni do not have access to their institution's databases. I find that incredible.
Well, it's what it is the university, the institutions pay subscription fees, and it's based on the number of users. So if they had to include all the alumni, it would just be a lot more expensive. And who knows how many alumni would actually, it would be hard for them to kind of figure out, but it would be a lot more expensive because it's paid on a per person at the institution. That's my understanding. So, I mean, I guess
Yeah, I'm sure there's a good reason, but you know, when you try to do research, and for example, Lincoln doesn't have a lot of the databases that I need, so I sort of make do.
Yeah.
That brings me to the next question. Carol has donated her book, her copy of Bond's book,
Vacation for Life,
guys, and some of us agreed to help offset that expense. And I privately indicated to Carol that I'd be willing to make another donation to help cover other expenses that students may have. I don't know what they may be, but Dr. Merrill talked about subscribing to JSTOR and some other databases. And I don't know if we can afford to do all that, but do we have any idea what the needs are for students that may be uncovered by university resources? Are there, I mean, I know there are some books that may be available through Amazon or other places. There may be other materials that individual students may want to access in the process of investigating their person and what have you. So I'm just wondering, are there any unanticipated expenses that may need to be covered? Contribute to.
I think that's I'd like to answer that briefly. And Carol and I have talked about that. And at this point, if your student identifies a need, then we'll know what their needs are. In other words, I think we should feel free to acknowledge a financial need for a student as it relates to research. And I'm going to contact Michael Lynch, who is the director of undergraduate research, who was very enthusiastic about what we're doing and was excited about contributing to publication costs. So if he's got something for publication costs, this might be something that funds that we could access through that office. And I just have to contact him about that.
And let me say that I've also talked to Dr. Merrill. I mean, he has what he's calling Lincolniana stuff in his collection. So I've been exploring with him, well, how much, I mean, I want to use that for my research. And I said, well, how much would it cost if our students and alumni, you know, had access, you know, to that extensive collection? So we talked and he came up with a $500 figure. So, you know, I was going like, I don't know, we can afford that, but if it means that this, you know, we're going to be able to have the credit photographs and other memorabilia, it may be worth it.
Well, Carol, that's the amount that I offered to provide.
Okay. No, that's fantastic.
Carol, did you come up with a method that we can send money to you, or how do you want to do it?
I didn't, only because, well, we were talking first about the bond book, and I just got an email today that says it's in process. And I was wanting people just to wait until I got I had the product. And because I keep thinking it's going to cost more. So I didn't want anybody to send any money until I had the final product and I knew how much it cost.
How many pages is it?
Well, the original book is 600 and some pages. Okay. And I sent them $191, which was their so-called estimated cost. Now, whether that's going to be the final cost or not, I just want a final cost to send to you all. I don't want to have to nickel and dime. You said they told me 191 and now they're telling me 224. So that would just come to me since I paid it just as a reimbursement. Now, Dr. Button, is that okay? I see, I don't know how to really do this. Since I paid, is it okay they reimburse me, or does it need to come through the university?
Well, honestly, it does not, I would recommend, if at all possible, not to go through the university.
Okay. Amen to that.
Bureaucratic mess.
Yeah.
So,
amen. And do you know, usually the alumni chapters, I'm going back to a conversation that was just on the floor, would get involved with student needs. And now that it's virtual, we still have some scholars at Lincoln and we don't know their needs because some of them are not there. So how do we find out? I mean,
You ask them, you just ask them. And you know, sometimes students need a book. I just send them a book.
can you kind of like on the side, find out? I can ask 2 students that's actually on campus, what are the students' current needs? And just give me some insight.
Are you talking about the students we're working with? Or are you
Well,
talking?
the ones we're working with, we definitely want to know,
Right.
but just in general too.
Well, usually the chapters have taken care of the needs of those students within their geographic area.
Their jurisdiction?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
And they usually have the best means of finding out, but
Yeah.
you know, not that they're not the only means. Some
Right.
students just won't talk. I'm thinking maybe the financial aid office, but that you go through financial aid, you got to go through 10 people to get an answer.
The other thing is that a research under COVID has been very different from research usually. And when we worked with Merrill before, we went down to Baltimore, we went into the archives, I mean,
Right.
hands-on, and it was wonderful. But this, you know, using all these databases is a different story and doesn't, well, it's different, that's all I'm gonna say. And, but if there's a book that needs to be purchased for a student, well, we purchase that, I guess. And I
Yeah.
think students should be working hands-on. They should have the books, I think, in addition to just online stuff. But
Yeah.
by the same token, you know, there's a lot of material that is available. I think, have you looked at the Lincoln Digital? You can get into the main digitized materials of Lincoln's library. You don't have to have a special code for that. The only thing you can't do at Lincoln's library are the databases.
Okay.
So
Carol,
it's worth looking around. You should just go and check it out.
Okay.
I mean, I really urge people to go into the special collections because frankly, it's easier to access them right now than it would be to see the paper originals that are in the archives, which, I mean, first of all, it's COVID, but even without COVID, who knows what the, you know, what the access to them is right now. I mean,
And the other thing is the campus will be open after the spring break and students can take out books.
well, they can take out books now too.
Yes, they can, absolutely. But they're not all near the campus. What I'm saying is many of them will be back on campus. And
Right, right. I mean, it is a little complicated. They have but it's done through interlibrary loan, and the books are supposed to get mailed to them. Now that everything takes time, so
3 weeks, right?
Yeah. If I may go back to Sister Carol Black for a moment, as I suggested to her in an email, if individuals are amenable, perhaps once you get the cost of the book, those who want to contribute, you can divide it among those who want to contribute, and that would be the amount, unless if they want to give more, fine. But if you divide it among those who are willing to, after you get the cost, that may be a way to do it. Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Also, we could have a fund for this thing, and then if we don't use up all the money, we can get an award for the best essay.
That's good.
First, second.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that maybe Dr. Button, Carol, and myself would just come up with some idea about what cost might be for this project in terms of meeting student research needs and maybe even mentors research needs, and then try to find some funding to cover those costs. And again, I think I like Bill's idea that any unused funds, I mean, but the donations have to be to the university. If we can make the donations to the university, to this class or through some other way.
Maybe to the archives. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, whatever way,
Right,
that way, we can make a contribution to the university for this, to support this particular project and related costs, including the cost of your book. I mean, your book. And then, again, if there are other funds or leftover funds, then they can be used for something else. They can go to the General Scholarship Fund or to the English department or archives or wherever. But I also asked about, is the Alumni Association in a position to cover some of these costs?
Yes. And I only said because I forgot the president says, Carol, you have budget for copying. And I said, oh, I completely forgot that. So there is a line item and I will have to pull it out of that budget because I established it first time ever, got a lot of flack from people who didn't think that we needed a budget, but I will certainly pull that out.
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
because it's interesting because we mentioned the Rousseau book, and I happen to have a connection with Dr. Rousseau's daughter, Monica, who's a president of a college, no, president of a labor union in Florida. And I asked her about her parents' archives papers. She didn't answer me on that one. So I went to Amazon to look for the price of the book. Well, it's unavailable. There's one in hardback, and guess what the price is?
Couple $100, probably.
$595.
Yeah, I figured it was high. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
So if you all have it,
Yeah.
if you have
Yeah.
it, it's a
Right.
gem. I mean, books are gems anyway.
Well, I've got to go. I'm a primary cook, so I have to hit the road. I got to hit the road, Jack.
Absolutely.
Bless you
We all need to hit the road. Thank
Be
you
sa-
so very,
be
very
safe.
much.
Be
Thank you,
safe.
everybody. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Hey, everyone.
Good night.
See you next Thursday.
No, not
Oh, no,
next
not next
Thursday.
Thursday. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 Thursdays.
2 weeks from now, but we'll be communicating.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
be communicating. Yeah. Okay. No
Take it
class
easy.
next week. All right. I can't even end the thing. Oh, there's the end. Okay. Get out of the way.